go. Hello, hello. Don't worry, we are not jumping right back into program. Everybody, please enjoy food. Our divide will stay open a little bit so you guys can grab some more food. But just, if you haven't noticed yet, some of our centerpieces, we're really aligning with the 150 Year of Women, and so we wanted to give an opportunity to hear a little bit more about this. So we were lucky enough to have Hannah Hitchcock, who actually works here at CAA and is a Women's Honor Society member of the Prinean chapter. I apologize. I'm practicing on my pronunciation of that. But she's here to just kind of teach us a little bit more. Please keep on, getting as you need. And so just welcome Hannah.
Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well today. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about 150 Women. It's a really exciting year for women in Berkeley, and so I'm really excited you all want to hear about it. So just to start off, just an introduction, I'm Hannah. I'm a junior at Cal. I'm studying political science and history, and I'm originally from Salinas, California, so shout out to Monterey chapter. Yeah, so let's just get started. Oops, sorry. So Cal is really unique in the history of female students because the regents of the university voted to admit women on equal basis as men very early on in our history. Most of the Ivy Leagues didn't even admit women on equal basis until the 1970s, and Cal actually voted to admit women in 1870, which is just really, it's really revolutionary. So that's why we're celebrating in 2020, 150 women. Even though Cal accepted women very early on, there were still many barriers that they had to overcome, especially on campus. Certain spaces they didn't have access to, which I'll talk a little bit about. But actually, a fun fact about one of the early women at Cal is we actually credit our colors to being chosen by a woman. Rebecca Bragg, class of 1876, actually officially chose blue and gold as our colors, which is fun. And I also really enjoy this picture of the women because the plug caps that they're wearing, that was a symbol of senior men and their status as big men on campus. So I like that the women are wearing them as well here. So some very early on traditions of women at Cal, they had Women's Day from 1901 to 1915. It was a day dedicated to women having activities on campus, lots of tournaments, plays, dances. Collegiate sports, it was hard for women to break into collegiate sports on campus at first, but they still did have it. The very first intercollegiate basketball game was actually played between Cal and Stanford, and the score was 2-1. They had very different rules back then. And so actually, the whole reason that women could play sports at Cal was all due to this one woman, Dr. Mary Bennett Ritter. So women were excluded from sports because they had to have a physical exam by a doctor before they could play, and with no female physicians, they couldn't play. So it was like a negative feedback loop of we have no female doctors, we can't have any female athletes. And so Phoebe Hearst was a early benefactress of the university, and she actually paid out of pocket for Dr. Ritter to come on campus and give women their physical exams so that women could then play sports. And so Dr. Ritter was an early advocate for women in sports and women going into medical training. And she actually had one of the very first cooperative houses named after her, Mary Bennett Ritter Hall, which dedicated housing to women from low-income backgrounds. And that brings us to housing. So housing was very sparse on campus in the very early days, even for men. And so it was hard for women to even come here and go to school here because they had no place to live. They had to come from far away. And so the very first sororities were actually established in the 1890s. And sororities provided housing to women, but it was often only the rich, white, unmarried, childless women. So, of course, there's some barriers there. College Hall was actually, this is College Hall. It was one of the very first large-scale housing options open to women who were from low-income backgrounds, and so was Ritter Hall. So to talk a little bit about academics, we still see some of this separation today, sadly, but once women were accepted onto campus, they were often funneled into school subjects that were considered soft disciplines, so they weren't so much allowed to study the hard sciences like chemistry and physics. But one person who worked against that was Dr. Agnes Faye Morgan. She was a chemist from the University of Chicago who came to Cal, and she really wanted women to study hard sciences. And even though she wasn't allowed in the chemistry department, she actually developed the science of nutrition. So a lot of our studies today about vitamins and diet actually come from Agnes Faye Morgan. And obviously, because there were very few women who were allowed to go to university in the early years, there were very few women who were allowed to be faculty. But we do have very many famous faculty, like female faculty, from the early years. So we have Dean Lucy Sprague and Dean Lucy Ward Stebbins. They were the first two Dean of Women, and that position was really important in providing a mentor role to the women on campus. Lucy Ward Stebbins was especially important because she worked really hard to increase the enrollment numbers of female students. They went up in the thousands when she became Dean of Women. She also raised money for scholarships so that they could afford to be at Cal, which was a really, really important role that she played. And she worked to expand the curricula so they couldn't just study home economics, that they could study more. Sadly, at least to me, sadly, the Dean of Women position went away in the 60s, and it was replaced by Dean of Students. And right now, Dean of Students is actually not a filled position, but I kind of hope it goes to a woman. So another important role that Lucy Ward Stebbins played is she was the first president of the Women's Faculty Club. The Women's Faculty Club is on Cal's campus, it's the only faculty club dedicated to women in the whole country. Most of them have now been consolidated into one faculty club, but we have the only separate building, which was really important. It was established in 1919, the Women's Faculty Club, and it provided a space for the faculty women to come together and mentor each other. So the women's suffrage movement was really, really big in the California and on Cal campus. There were a lot of women here campaigning for suffrage, and Lucy Ward Stebbins was, Phoebe Apperson Hearst was actually pretty quiet on the subject for a long time, didn't want to give sway to either way, but then in the end she ended up coming out in public support, and this was really big because being an open supporter of women's suffrage, donating money to young women at the university was one of her biggest accomplishments. So just to talk a little bit more about the Berkeley women's response to exclusion on campus, I think is really important because they could have just lied down and tried to slowly work against this and tried to slowly work for inclusion, but they actually responded in really incredible ways, creating their own spaces where they were accepted. So of course, the Dean of Women position was really important in that. And then also the Women's Faculty Club, Girton Hall, which was originally the Senior Women's Hall, was really important in response to the Senior Men's Hall, where women were not allowed for many years. So another important response to exclusion on campus was the Brittany Honor Society. So this was the first women's honor society in the country, and it was founded in Berkeley in 1901. The women founders had an important interest in student housing and in student health, and this actually, the Brittany Society actually contributed to the founding of the Tang Center, which is really cool. They raised $5,000 for the tanks, or for a student infirmary, and at that time that was equivalent about $138,000, which is really, really big in 1901. And they also established women's alumni associations and women's sport programs. So women of color on campus faced even more barriers to inclusion because they were facing both being female and being women of color. So the universities were very exclusionary towards them, all universities. But some of the first women to work against that include Ida Louise Jackson. She founded the Alpha Kappa Alpha Rho chapter on the UC Berkeley campus in 1921, which was the first Black sorority on our campus. And that was really important in creating a space for these women to come together. Barbara Christian was the first female Black tenured professor on our campus. She was very pivotal in creating the African American Studies Department. And she also, which I found this really interesting, is she was one of the first scholars to bring the works of Toni Morrison and Alice Walker into the mainstream, which is really big. Those are classic American authors now. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about Berkeley women in the 21st century, which is really big. Of course, these are the people we're celebrating today. So Dean Liu is our first dean of engineering who is a woman, and also one of the only dean of engineering women in the country. Dr. Jennifer Doudna is very, very famous on our campus and around the world for inventing CRISPR, gene editing technology. Don't ask me about it, I don't know. I'm a poli-sci major. She's very important. She'll win a Nobel Prize, I'm sure. Of course, Chancellor Carol Christ, first female chancellor of our campus. Really, I think one of the best chancellors we've ever had. Balancing our budget, really just leading us to a good future, I believe. And then 2 of the last 3 ASUC presidents that we've had have been women of color, Zainab and Amma, which is, I think, a really, really important milestone because they're really good leaders of student government. So that's all I have. I know I ended a little early, but if you have any questions, and also we have a lot of flyers and stickers for 151 here, so if you want to grab some, you should. Yes. Any questions about women? I can't answer everything. Yes. We have a question.
One of my mentors at CAA was this woman named Daisy Kwan. She's a graduate of chemistry in 1947. And she was always telling me stories about how as a woman of color in the College of Chemistry, she had to be twice as good as everybody. She had to be on time. She had to show everyone why she was allowed to be there. And she had a successful career at Shell Oil. And then afterwards, she gave back to the university by being a director at the CAA. She got me involved in CAA, so she's been my mentor. The reason I'm here today is because of her. So thank you for reminding me of that.
No, that's amazing. That's a great story. Also, just something I've noticed working at the Alumni Association, this place is run by women, and it is amazing for that. So shout out to the CAA women. Yeah.
I don't think I missed this in your presentation, but do you know how many buildings on campus are named for women?
I need to do an official count, but there aren't that many, but it's growing. I think there are more dorms that are being named after women. So there's Ida Sproul Hall, Spence Black is named after a woman, but more academic buildings would be good, yes. And also, it's interesting, this was a recent controversy with the Bolt Hall being denamed, which of course it was named after John Bolt, but the money was actually donated by his wife, which I think is an important point. I'm not making an argument on either side of that debate, but it is an important note that even if some buildings weren't named after women, they were donated by women, which is kind of interesting. Yeah.
I want to actually echo what Steve said. Actually, I'm currently working with the Dean of Engineering, CJ, which is actually right in that middle aisle right there. Right? And actually, kind of highlight, I think CJ's reason why she's so successful in terms of her role is not only is she very good academically, which she has actually right now 100 patents already and then 100 patents pending. She's the inventor of what we call FinFET, which is the reason why all of us are using the cell phone because you know, the capacity of semiconductor can get from 40 to 30, getting smaller and smaller in terms of per unit and capacity. And it's part of the reason why the Moore's law is able to extend. But I think personally, I think from a, you know, really working with her as a leader, she's also very good as a listener, as a leader. And one of the reasons why actually we're also, I mentioned to you, Steve and I, the Chinese chapter and BCAI, which is my chapter, organizing the largest international conference every year. This is going to be our 50th year, and it's going to be October 4th this year. Is, you know, we have about like almost 1,000 people, and of course, COE, which I don't see her here, but COE has been a great supporter, and every year she comes out and shares some great insights and developments. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that. I think she's been tremendous as a leader. I'm working on helping her to raise about $30 million, $20 to $30 million over the next few years. But anyways, but my question to you is, do we actually have, you know, when you part of your research, you track like how many, you know, how many like female faculty members? What's the ratio right now, approximately, you know, at Berkeley? And do we actually have a strategic plan? I mean, we talk about strategic plan. Do you have a strategic plan that's about, you know, maybe if there's a direction about where we're going to get to, perhaps by a certain time for women faculty?
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's a strategic plan. That would be really good. I think that should be happening or should be planned. But from my knowledge right now, it's actually kind of interesting when you look at the percentages of women to men, undergraduates, graduates, and faculty members. So in undergraduates, there's actually more women than men. I think it's about like not quite 60-40, but like going towards there. In graduate students, it's a little bit less women than men, and then in faculty, it's about 30% women, which is a really big disparity when you look at the students versus the faculty. And that's why it's so important to me that we have people like Dean Liu and Jennifer Doudna who are, especially in the field of STEM, where there are not as many women and it's harder for women to break in, and there's these cultural norms that women shouldn't be in those fields of study. It's really important that they're not only like these brilliant scientists and these, but they're also really great leaders and that are leaders working towards the inclusion of more women and women of color in these fields. So sadly, there is a big disparity. I think it's like 36% women faculty. I'm not quite sure, don't quote me on that. And it changes every year, and even within that, even less are on tenure track. So some are like lecturers, but they're not given the opportunity to be on tenure track. But that's really great question. Yes, on.
So I do want to make a comment. I'm looking at our president, Maria Prade, back there. She's waving. So full disclosure, in my free time, I'm also the CFO of the Brittany Alumni chapter. And we give out a $25,000 cash award every year to a female faculty member who does not currently have tenure. And since we've been doing it for, gosh, Maria, you can tell me how long, but every single person who's received it has gone on to receive tenure. How long, Maria? Do you? 1986.
Yes, in the back. You, yes.
Well, on with the Santa Barbara chapter, would like to learn more about marketing campaigns for the woman in the 150th anniversary that our chapters can do
Oh,
to
yeah.
promote this.
So I know that a lot of the marketing for 150 Women is actually being done right now by Visitor and Parent Services. Because they're running Cal Day and a lot of the 150 Women events I think are happening on Cal Day. So I'm not quite sure how to answer that, but I think maybe contacting Visitor and Parent Services might help with the marketing on that. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes.
I'm not bilingual, and my hearing isn't any better than my speech patterns. But what I've been hearing is faculty and accomplished people there, and I really feel this is the place where alumni have given back to campus. There are two buildings here. One is a child building, and the other one where the couple have built a business down in the peninsula. And I feel that something like this is very generous and a legacy all of us can appreciate.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Hannah, for presenting a wonderful presentation about the history of women in Berkeley. Thank you. Well, in about 2 minutes or so, I'll be doing my raffle drawing. So you might want to take this opportunity to use any bathroom breaks or take your second round of the food and grab some drinks. Okay, we'll see you in 2 minutes. Hello? Hi everybody, I'm gonna start doing the raffle drawing, so get your raffles ready. All right, I'm going to start the raffle drawing right now, so remember to have your ticket with you, matching with the number. The first one I'll be calling Huang Feng. We have Huang here. Huang Feng. Oh, okay. Well, you have to be present, right? Okay, all right, next one. Julie Tam. Congratulations. You have an Under Armour notebook for you to use today. Congratulations. Next one. Robert Sprout. Robert. All right. Next one, we have Chuck Ing. Congratulations, Chuck. Both. Yes. All right. Who's the next winner here? I have Ibsen. Is that Michael? Wow, yes, congratulations, Michael. Last one for now is Laura Davis. Congratulations, Laura. Right, it's an Under Armour duffel bag. Congratulations to all the winners. And next up, I would like to introduce our next speaker for today is Amanda Boucher, President of the Cal Alumni Association Board of Directors. Let's give her a warm welcome.
I was like, I hope everyone claps. So first, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here today. I'm very honored to be the CAA president, and CAA, and especially the chapters, have a very special place in my heart. It was the Santa Rosa chapter that was my first touch point as a Berkeley student when they held a luncheon at maybe one of the nicest places I'd been to, and for awarding me the Alumni Leadership Scholarship. It was that scholarship, along with a mom who was willing to mortgage our house, that allowed me to come to Cal and be able to take on student leadership roles rather than having to get a job, which jobs. And I actually credit that scholarship with helping make it so that I had the opportunity to build the skills up that would allow me to have the career and opportunities that I've had up until now. And really, that's why I'm here. That's why CAA means so much to me. That's why this university means so much to me. And it's the social mobility that Cal provided to so many of us and still provides. And that's what gets me really excited, and I know many of you feel the same way. I truly believe that all of you in here today are that soul of the UC Berkeley alumni. You're the reason why alumni engagement and that feeling of belonging to our communities continues to grow. It's these communities that you've built in these chapters that I wish all alumni could feel a part of, and I know that together, us, the board, CAA, all of you in your communities are working to build that so that all of our alumni get to feel as involved and as close to Cal. It's that service that you do, volunteering to bring together people under our mutual love of Cal. Is precisely why we made the chapters a CAA priority for our board. A few years back, we recognized we had not been doing enough to invest in the infrastructure to support you. And so with the Alumni Engagement Expansion Initiative, AEX for short, we specifically put money towards giving staff the chance to support you in the ways that you were needed from us. And that first piece was talking to you and finding out what you needed from us. It's an ongoing process. It's now it's a huge part of our 5-year strategic plan. And as you did this morning, with giving your feedback and insights, know that we are listening, and I hope that you feel like this is a collaborative process. I want to say thank you to staff, especially to Chloe for her leadership and her dedication to getting to know all of you and to helping you build out these communities. You really are, like I said, the soul of our alumni communities. I'm really excited to see how far we've come, to hear from all of you about the support and the work that all of you are doing and how CAA continues to support you. But I also want to acknowledge that we have an opportunity to do more. I think that's the blessing and curse of being Cal alums, is you can always do better, and we know that, and we always want to do better. So I want to say again, thank you for your time, your dedication, and the value that you bring to your communities and to this university. And the staff, I'm so grateful for the work that you guys continue to do, and I hope that all of you feel the gratitude from us here, from the CAA board members that are here, from past board members, and know that we are so grateful for the work that you do, both to support our alumni and for this university. We are at a very critical time in this university where we need our alumni more than ever, and you guys are the ones that are rallying those troops. So thank you. I can't express my gratitude enough. And all I can really say is thank you for your service to your communities, to this university, and to our students. Again, you really are the backbone of our alumni community. You hold the Cal spirit, and our university now more than ever needs you. And I'm honored to be the CAA president and to be there with all of you as an alumni leader. And I hope that you guys really enjoy today, have a lot of fun, and take back some of this to your communities, and just know that the lines of communication are open. I hope you enjoyed this morning's session and continue in that spirit to let us know how we can best support you. So thank you, and go Bears.
Thank you again, Amanda, for being here. And so to continue on, I want to introduce Ryan Lawrence, Associate Director of Digital Philanthropy here at UC Berkeley. I'm going the wrong way. I'm getting a little click crazy. Sorry about that. I got this for you, and I got this for you.
Excellent, thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Ryan Lawrence. I am the Associate Director of Digital Philanthropy here at Berkeley. Today I'm going to talk to you about Big Give, and quick show of hands, who has heard of Big Give? Oh, thank goodness that many hands went up. This is our 6th year of Big Give. I'm super excited to be talking to you about it this year. What I'm going to do is give you an overview, talk through some of our contests, some of the exciting stuff that we have going on this year. And there will be time for questions at the end. So to start, if you did not just raise your hand, Big Give is our annual online fundraising campaign in which we raise a lot of money for pretty much every area across campus. It began in 2014, so this is our 6th year doing it. Personally, this is my 2nd year working Big Give, which has been fantastic. So please mark your calendars. March 12th is the next Big Give, but do note it actually starts at 9 p.m. on March 11th, and it goes till 9 p.m. March 12th. But we advertise March 12th as our main day. So it's really a time for the entire Cal community to come together and support your favorite schools and programs by making a gift. There's competitions and different contests going on, so different units around campus can win additional prize money for bragging rights as well as just funding. And it really highlights the power of philanthropy here at Berkeley. So I like to show this just to see some of the growth over the years. Last year, you can see we had over 14,000 gifts come in a 24-hour period, which was our record-breaking year, which was really, really incredible. And then I love showing this slide. Our students here at Cal are amazing, and there has been tremendous growth in their participation in Big Give. So as you can see, in 2014, we started at 208 student donors during Big Give. Last year, we had 906, which was incredible. And just to put that in a little bit of perspective, we have one of the contests I'm going to be talking about is geared towards students. And when we first rolled out this contest 3 years ago, we had 34 student groups sign up. This year we have 119. So it's really, really incredible. The students are really getting behind this. So in keeping with the theme from the last few years, this year's Big Give theme is Berkeley Moments. So it's really a time to celebrate all the things that make Berkeley an amazing place. So we use a lot of these taglines here: seize the moment, your moment is now, let's all take a moment. Afterwards, we talk about how momentous it was. But really, this is a great opportunity to think about what made your time at Cal special. And we encourage you to share that on social media throughout the day using hashtag CalBigGive. So where did you meet your best friend? Did you have a professor that changed your life? What groundbreaking research did you do in the lab? Things like that. So if you want to participate, which I strongly encourage everyone to do, first of all, on March 12th, be sure to visit biggive.berkeley.edu. You can see our live totals being updated throughout the day. If you are participating with a unit or helping anybody fundraise, you can register a hashtag with us. And as long as you're using that hashtag on all of your posts, you can actually raise additional money or have the chance to win prize money for different units. So the CAA, for example, they do have a hashtag. I actually should have looked it up what it is. I'm assuming it's, I can find it easily for you. But anytime you post on social media, it's hashtag CalBigGive and then your program hashtag that you also want to support. Yes? Oh, thank you. It is biggive.berkeley.edu. Thank you for catching that. However, you do want to go to give.berkeley.edu to actually make your gift. During that day, all of our online forms become branded with Big Give, so you'll know you're in the right spot, and you can search for over 1,000 different areas on campus that you want to support, the CAA being one of them. So there it is too, if you're promoting it, but that's our giving form, really, really easy to use. If you are sharing giving forms with any other volunteers or any alumni or friends, what you want to do is go to the giving site, find your URL up there, and then promote that link. But let's talk about the fun stuff. So Big Give has a ton of different contests that go out throughout the day. So I want to give a brief overview of each one so you can get a better understanding. First of all, we have the Big Slice contest. This is for bragging rights only, but there are over 30 different areas of giving on campus that roll up into these, and we just count the dollars that they raise throughout the day, and we rank them in order. So really simple. One thing to note, this is based on an area of giving, and the best way for me to describe this is if you are a football donor, you're giving to the football team, but that's rolling up into the athletics area of giving. So you wouldn't see football on this list, but you would see Cal Athletics. So just keep that in mind if you're supporting any programs or departments. So the Raising the Bar is, again, based on this area of giving, so it does roll up into larger units. But what we do is we have them competing against themselves from what they did during last year's Big Give. And then we award prize money to the areas that raise the highest percentage over their last Big Give gift count. And it's probably hard to see on this screen, but the Cal Parents Fund last year increased their totals by 512% for their gift count, which was amazing. So they took home an additional $10,000. The Cal Parents Fund is a great place to give to. It goes to the area of greatest needs and supports things like the Bear Walk and a few others. So we have a lot of people really getting competitive this year. The CAA is on here, although it looks like you didn't make the top few last year, so we should change that this year. I like to show some social media samples too. These are just some of the schools that were advertising the Raising the Bar contest last year. So as you can see, they were tracking it throughout the day, and the iSchool here, we're only 31 gifts away from the 2018 total of Big Give. Please make your gift now. As well as the Hearst Museum was advertising this. So people love this. This is really fun too. Our leaderboards do update in live time, so you can see exactly where you're at, and you'll know you need 5 more gifts to get to that next level. And I do want to point out with Big Give, this is gift-based, not donor-based. So me as one donor, I can give 5 times, and that counts 5 times. So just keep that in mind. If you do have, say, a $100 gift that you plan on making, you could split that up a few times, and it would count additional times for the CAA or any other unit that you're promoting. The big matches overview, this was new last year, and this is a really great opportunity for donors to either set up challenges or have a pool of donors come together to challenge others to make gifts to the areas that they're passionate about. So last year we had 15 of these. This year we'll have 22. These are fund specific, so they're very, very narrowed down. As you can see here, the Biology Scholars Program was one of them last year. Optometry did their annual fund, and so forth. But these are great because they are based on either a gift count or dollars raised, and then the donors will actually match that money or put up some sort of additional funding. I was really excited because 14 out of the 15 of these met last year, and the one that didn't, they only didn't reach their match because they were sending out the wrong link for half of the day. They contacted my office at 2 p.m. during Big Give in a panic, saying all of their emails had the wrong URL, but they still ended at 85% towards their goal, so still they turned it around at the last minute, but didn't quite get there. This year I'm hoping all 22 send out the right link. So here's the Cal Parents Fund. Again, they actually had a match last year too. That was in part of why they did so well. They were really advertising it. Their social media, they were promoting well in advance that it was Big Give coming up. And as you can see there, they just advertised their match, additional $11,750 if they receive 120 gifts. They actually had over 370 gifts, a large part due to this match. Go Big for Students, this is what I mentioned earlier. I love this contest so much. We actually have, as I said, 119 registered student groups or club sports promoting this, this upcoming year, and they are competing just for gift count. So student group with the most gifts wins the most money. Yes?
So I've seen crowdfunding for student groups. How does that relate to the Big Give?
Great question. So I actually oversee the crowdfunding program here at Cal as well. So good segue, we did not plan that. We will have some crowdfunding going on, however, it will live separately. The crowdfunding does count towards this, so if there are student groups or other units on campus crowdfunding, we will pull in those gifts and count them. We will not be promoting crowdfunding on the Big Give website itself, but if you're involved in any of the about 15 groups crowdfunding, you might hear from them and be able to participate that way. Oh, the one thing I'll say about the Go Big for Students as well is our students are really smart. They figured it out last year about the gift count and not donor count, and we actually had one student make 270 $10 gifts, and they were the top team that won that contest. If you can go through the form 270 times in 24 hours, I'm impressed. So if anyone wants to beat that record, I challenge you as well. So the big countdown, this is our most exciting contest throughout the day. These are our hourly contests. You can actually visit biggive.berkeley now and see the preview of these. It's a really great mix of just getting lucky or planning ahead. And so we have gift-based challenges where we might say during these certain hours, we're gonna pull a young alumni donor and we're gonna award an additional $1,500 to wherever they gave. We do that with young alumni, we do that with just regular alumni, there's a faculty staff one, there's an international donor, and so forth. There's also some really fun social media ones. If you have any pets or children at home, dress them up in Cal, take a photo, post on social media, we might feature you on the website, and you might win additional prize money just for doing that. Those are ones you can see in advance. There's also fill in the blanks of why you might love Cal. There's a Throwback Thursday, so if anyone has some really fun photos for when they were here on campus, I definitely recommend that one. And new this year, I'm super excited, we are doing on campus an Oski scavenger hunt, where we are hiding 10 different plush Oskis around campus. I got to do this earlier in the week. It was super fun to go figure out where we were hiding them. And we're encouraging students to go find them, and we'll be giving out hints to them throughout the day. And when they tell us that they found it, there'll be a code that they have to turn in, and they'll win additional prize money from $100 to $1,000, depending on which one they found. And what's really great is these are being sponsored by current parents, so it's a really great way to get them involved too. Yes? Towards the, correct. They get to award it, yes. So what a lot of them do is they award it to the organizations or the programs that they're involved with, which is really, really fun. They do get to keep the bear, yes.
Yeah, on one of the earlier slides for the CAA, I noticed on there that there was a So if you're really going to be busy on Big Give Day, can you make the gift earlier and specify for it to go onto Big Give?
Unfortunately, it is a 24-hour window that we do accept gifts. However, if you email biggive@berkeley.edu, and I have the URL or the email address at the end of this presentation, we might be able to work with you on a way to be able to count that gift in advance. So if anyone's busy, we do accept. We are in what's called the launch period right now, so we do know that some people don't want to give online, and they might want to give by check. And we do have a date. We just have to receive them by March 10th. Be able to count those. Yes.
A lot of our chapters contribute to scholarships.
Great.
As scholarships that might need to have endowment agreements, terms and conditions, and which makes, again, difficult to do online.
Yes.
If any of our chapters were inclined to do a new endowment or to add to their current endowment or to do a current scholarship gift, how would we get that included in Big Gift?
That's a really great question. So what you'd want to first do is you would actually have to make sure that it is on the online giving form. So this is really important to note. They do have to be Berkeley Foundation gifts, which I know the CAA is a separate entity. However, we do have a foundation account for CAA, and I know that certain chapters do have scholarships that are on here. If you are uncertain, please do email biggive@berkeley.edu. Let me know what scholarship that is, and I can find the answer for you. Yes?
And just to be clear, the reason why some people might not want to do their endowment online is you might be talking about a large amount of money, and people really don't feel comfortable just making it online when you're doing a large endowment.
Absolutely, and I know a lot of people like to give through donor-advised funds too, especially for endowments or larger donations. That is an option. However, again, we do have to have those initiated very soon since we're less than 2 weeks for Big Give now. But any questions like that, I can point you in the right direction for our fundraisers or our donor gift services who process the gifts. Yes?
Remember, a lot of us, or some of us, are very old, and things like hashtags and things like that, I must admit, I don't know what that is.
Sure.
So please, all of you young people know all these things. A lot of us old people do not, and we're not comfortable with these things.
Absolutely. And if, okay.
The second point is, how is this tied in with the big campaign that's being kicked off tonight?
That's a great question. And first, you do not have to participate on social media to be involved in Big Give, so you can ignore the hashtags part of it if you'd like to. Just to clarify, a hashtag is a keyword for searches on social media to tag things. So almost like a Google search, you can search for a hashtag and find a variety of topics. But again, you can just give, and that can be the way you participate. The campaign that's actually kicking off today as we speak is a little bit separate than Big Give. Big Give is really about participation. It's really about just getting everybody together to come celebrate wherever they love at Cal. The campaign tends to be more towards major donors and much larger gifts, so it's a little bit different of an audience. Big Give is a really great vehicle for us to attract new donors to Cal, as well as young alumni and students too. But that, not to say that everybody shouldn't participate, because they should. Any other questions?
Well, just following up on that, I mean, I think the question is, or the question I heard was, does that count towards the campaign?
Yes.
Big Give doesn't count towards the campaign.
Yes, it does, and thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
Let me clarify too. Every gift will count towards the campaign, no matter where it's going on campus. You'll start to hear more, and let me be honest, I'm not the campaign expert, so I won't go into too many details, but every gift does count. The campaign, they are rolling out some campus-wide priorities, and there's a lot of different buckets that basically everything rolls up into. Yep. All right, so I just wanted to share some of the marketing materials that we have going out. So you'll see a lot of this logo on everything. This is our Big Give logo. We have one that's pre-event, a day of one, and then a post-event as well, but pretty much all the same. You'll see these are a lot of the materials that we have. We encourage our campus partners to kind of get creative with these and to post on here, but these are some of the samples from last year, just some really fun ones and really easy. And then, as I mentioned, we're talking about Berkeley moments, so we have a lot of moments of. So you'll see moments of ideas, moments of discovery, moments of knowledge, moments of Cal family. We encourage folks to really think of their own Berkeley moments and to post them. If you do go to biggive.berkeley.edu now, if you scroll down to the bottom of the website a little bit, we have our live social media feed from last year up there, so you can actually see all the posts from last year. We're actually starting to get people posting about this year's Big Give already, which is really exciting to see. You'll also see Big Give knolling, and I always have to explain what knolling is. It is this. It is when you arrange a bunch of different items that represent an overall theme. And we do a lot of knolling with Big Give, so you'll probably see this throughout the day as well. I am a REI member, and they do a lot of knolling where they'll lay out a bunch of camping gear and then take a photo from above, and then that's their marketing. So we do a lot of knolling and everything, and it's really fun because while we have some general things that represent Cal, very specific units can put together really, really creative ones. Yes? They will be, you will see these. And if you're not aware, we actually have some really fun stickers that you can download, both on your iPhone and Android. You can just search for Cal stickers. There's some really, really fun bears that are like dancing and doing really cool things. You'll see a lot of those during Big Give too. And again, just some of the social media graphics that you'll see. It's, Big Give is coming, now is your time to give, and then big thanks. Last year, as I mentioned, we had over 14,000 gifts, so I'm really hoping that we can surpass last year's. All right, and then if anyone is out there going to be promoting Big Give to your friends, family, fellow alumni, I just wanted to share some basic email and social media tips for you. First of all, if you're sending out emails to anybody, I wanted to let you know that I'm from University Development and Alumni Relations. We will be sending out a lot of emails. You will get them, I guarantee it. You probably got one already, I hope, at least. There'll be 8 going out overall. We have 3 going out before the event. The first one that you received already is the save the date. The next one's a contest preview that basically goes over the contest like I just did. And then the following one is Big Give is now. And then we will kick off the day at 9 p.m. on March 11th with an email going out to announce it's ready. And then we'll send out 3 more day of, and then you'll get a thank you sometime around 10 or 11 when we add up our final tallies. So that's the schedule. And then some best practices for email. So I highly recommend you keep everything Big Give branded. Because we are in our 6th year, this has become a really popular event that people kind of recognize now as Big Give, which is fantastic. So steal a logo, grab one of those moments of, a header, or anything like that. I can provide you graphics if you email biggive@berkeley.edu. But keep your emails short. 150 to 250 words is always a best practice, and use bullet points whenever possible to summarize your thoughts. This sounds really silly to mention too. Always include a link back to either Big Give or the giving site you're promoting. I work a ton with crowdfunding student groups, and I see some amazing social media posts and emails, and then they don't include the link back. So it's kind of a lost opportunity there. And then Big Give is supposed to be really informal and fun. Sometimes I know some of the academic units here at Cal can get a little too academic, to be honest. But this is really just supposed to be really fun. We're supposed to be celebrating everything Berkeley. So keep it, personal and informal. And then some social media tips. Again, if you're posting on social media, you always, always, always want to include #CalBigGive, and then whatever program hashtag you're promoting. If you don't know that, they should be sending it out to you, so you should hear from them. Instagram and Twitter are the best way for you to get featured on the Big Give website. Believe it or not, Facebook has privacy policies in place that don't allow us to curate a lot of their content. Shocking. And most of our contests are Instagram and Twitter based as well, so we'll be looking there. So the limitations with Facebook. And again, you can review past posts at biggive.berkeley.edu. And just some insider tips too. This is what I always teach my crowdfunding projects to do. Tag your friends. What's really great about that is if you do that, they get notified that you've tagged them, but then all of their friends are more likely to see that post because they're gonna go, oh, Ryan got tagged, what did he get tagged in? Let me check it out. Ask questions, and we make it really easy. What's your Berkeley moment? Simple as that. Ask that question. You want to engage people online, and you want to get them to make comments on your social media posts. And the reason is simply because more comments means that your post is going to be more relevant, and it's going to show up into more people's news feeds. The other is promote reactions. You've probably seen this. I've seen this a lot, especially on Facebook. But they might say, click the heart to vote for the dog. Click the laughy face to vote for the cat. They're only doing that because they're encouraging you to click those buttons, and every time you click that button, it makes that post more relevant because more people are responding to it, and thus it gets into more people's news feeds. So it kind of helps it go a little viral. And then if you are involved in running any of the chapter alumni pages, definitely post to those, but also post to your personal ones. We can curate from both group posts as well as individual pages. The other thing I'll say too is tagging friends that have made a gift works really, really well if you know they've donated or somebody has done that. As long as you know they're okay with you calling them out on social media, tagging them and saying, hey, thank you for making your gift during Big Give online is awesome, because if you tagged me, I'm going to get notified and I'm going to go, oh, you thanked me, that's so nice. But then all my friends are going to see it and go, what did Ryan support? Maybe I want to see what he's doing. All right, that is what I got. So I have a couple minutes left for questions. Yes?
I am not even on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
Sure.
Do you know the donations that are raised or contributions that are made by age group? Because what you're talking of is the under 25 or 30, these types of things.
Yes.
Most of the older people who generally have more money are not doing this stuff.
Yeah, and you can just go to biggive.berkeley.edu. We actually make it really easy where you can still get involved and post things. When you go to our website, there's a tab that says social. When you click on there, there's a way that you can upload photos or even just leave comments and post directly onto our Big Give website. So you don't have to be on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, but you can still. You can do that too. Yeah, you can just give and forget about it, and then I would just encourage you to check out the leaderboards to see which funds are winning, and maybe it was one of the ones that you did.
But you're building future givers.
We are, and what's really, really cool about Big Give, and especially since we've been doing this for 6 years, is when we are able to get a new donor to give towards Big Give, they actually retain at a much higher rate than if they gave just randomly or through one of our, say, direct mail or email solicitations. Any other questions? Yes?
So my grad school actually will give out something nice if you give more than X dollars. And it's not a huge number, but
Sure.
it could be like your socks with your school logo.
Yep.
Do you guys do anything like that?
We do not, and the reason is depending on that value of the gift, as well as the item received, actually impacts your right to a full tax deduction. And the best example I can give is, say I donate $100 and I get a $20 t-shirt. Well, now technically, because I got a $20 t-shirt, I can only claim $80 on my taxes because the t-shirt cost $20, and we're actually not set up to receipt properly for that at the moment. So you will see units do certain things though, and there are, and I'm not a pro at the IRS regulations, however, there are things that are considered insignificant value, or if there's certain branding on them, they are allowed. So we kind of let units figure that out themselves, but you might see that. Yes?
So, benchmarking actually.
Yes.
Which is what I think it's always important for us, is, oftentimes public universities, including Berkeley, of
Yeah.
course, is criticized that, hey, we're ranked last in the polar chain because of the fact that we don't give back to, the alma mater. So my question to you is, have you guys as a committee, have you actually, not necessarily, that's necessarily the right thing to do, but it's actually for marketing and purposes.
Yep.
Sometimes we're actually too modest. So my question is, have we actually, is this count towards sort of like the donation back to sort of percentage of the population back to Berkeley? And if it is, have we actually tried to contact to some of the presses, including, things that rate us always last, because they always put private university first?
Yeah.
So, I guess, have there anything done on that perspective?
Great question, and we are, the answer is we're continuing to work on that. So any undergraduate alumni that donate, whether it's to Big Give or just throughout the year to Cal at all, that does impact our rankings. So by giving, you actually are helping us maintain the spot as the #1 public university. And so we are looking at ways, and what we're really finding is Big Give is really, it's getting the young alumni and our students to give, and we're hoping that even though we're only 6 years in, you know, once this is 10, 15 years in, we'll continue to see that tradition of giving as kind of an expectation. We're right around 10% alumni participation, give or take a little bit, which is actually very in line with other public universities. Did that answer your question? No.
So my point is, how do we actually, I mean, we know we're the best public. I mean, that's not the point. The point is, how do we actually get the, you know, like some of the media attention?
The media attention.
You know, so that they actually kind of give us the credit that we should, you know, deserve this.
That's a great question, and I actually don't have an answer. But it's something I can bring up to my colleagues in marketing communications who do work with media and help us promote Big Give out. And it's something that we should certainly explore. There's a lot of universities that are doing giving days now too. Actually, it's funny enough, MIT and Cornell is on the exact same day, just randomly, as ours this year. So you can Google them and see what they're doing too. But that's something I'll bring up because I work very closely with our marketing communications team. I'm part of UDAR, yeah, so University Development and Alumni Relations. I'm specifically in annual programs, so I work on crowdfunding and Big Give and other online fundraising efforts.
That'd be great if you can bring it up. I think we need to find some creative way to make sure that we, I mean, I don't think the question is, we are the best public university. It's not that. I mean, if we're saying that we're academically ranked first with MIT and Harvard, right? I mean, we need to just, the other things, just.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree completely, yeah. Yes?
If I remember correctly, Big Give used to be a different time of year.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about why it was moved to that particular date? Because I don't know if it has any historical significance with the university, or maybe it does, but you know, I know like towards the end of the year, people might be thinking about giving because of taxes and things like that. So can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. So the reason why Big Give is now in March, it used to be in November. In fact, this is our 3rd year in March now, and it was called Big Give originally because it was based around the week of Big Game. What we actually found was the final year we did it in November, a lot of our donors were actually giving because they were going to give anyways. And so, while not bad, we were getting multi-million gifts coming in that were closing because of tax purposes at the end of the year, and they were counting towards Big Give. And it was really skewing our numbers and kind of taking us out of the whole point of Big Give, which is a 24-hour online event that really is we encourage most of the giving to take place that day. We actually landed in March because March tends to be a slower time for giving. January, February, March are very slow months for us, so this was a way for us to boost the numbers. And what we're finding now that we've been doing this for a few years is the folks that are giving in the fall, they're giving again in the spring. So we're actually getting more donations because of it. Yes?
Would it be better to have Big Give after income tax?
Depends on who you are. The reason why we don't do it after income tax is we do look at the academic calendar, and our student participation is really important, and by the end of April, they're just too busy with the semester wrapping up. We also have Cal Day at the end of April too, so our campus partners are just too busy preparing for that, as well as getting ready for commencement.
You could claim that March is the charter month of Berkeley.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And last year we did celebrate the 150 and during March as well. So that was really nice to be able to overlay that. Last year was also Pi Day when we did Big Give, so there was a lot of really fun pie-themed things going on. We've looked up this year's date. There's nothing exciting to pair it with.
Is there anything like Big Give for upcoming graduates, like right around commencement time, a baby give or a graduate?
Oh, that's a great question. So our senior class gift campaign is active during the spring, and so Big Give coincides with what we call Bears Give Back Week, and so there are a bunch of events for both undergraduate but primarily targeted at seniors for them to get involved and donate, as well as just come learn about philanthropy and how it's impacting their studies. We encourage them to come write thank you notes to donors, things like that.
My children went to a private elementary school, and the school asked them to donate a quarter, even when they were in 1st grade.
Wow.
Just develop the habit.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with Big Give is develop a habit of giving back.
Give it an allowance and give a quarter.
Yep. Yes.
So I've been in contact with your department, with Jennifer Mora. I have a phone call set up with her on Monday.
Oh, great.
But
It is unfortunately too late to set up a big match this year. Our deadline was about a week and a half ago to submit one of those, and the reason is we have an amazing web team that just has to do all the coding on the back end, so we have to have a few extra weeks to get that prepared. But next year we should talk. All right, and I think that is my time, so thank you all. But if you do have questions, email biggive@berkeley.edu. I'm happy to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Okay, really quickly, I can multitask. We are going to get ready for our student panel, so it's going to take us a second just to bring some chairs up here. We do have a nice little 10-minute break here for you guys, so if we need some more water at our tables, let us know. We'll fill those pitchers up for you. If you want to grab some air, make a call. Just make sure we're back in seats at 2 o'clock, and then we'll start with our student panel. Thank you so much. Make it actually, yeah. All right, we are going to start making our way back to our chairs so we can begin our student panel. We have water coming around to the tables, so if you guys are parched, we solved that problem. So yes, in just about 30 seconds, we will start our introduction of our student panel. We want to make sure everybody's in the room. Test, 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 test. Test. We'll start with Jonathan. We'll start it, and then just so that you guys can do your name, because we had to take it down so it wouldn't be so much.
Oh yeah, that's strong. Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started just so that we have the maximum amount of time to hear from our students, because I know that's what you are all here to hear from. My name is Jonathan Morgan. I'm the new Senior Program Manager for Scholarship Selection and Volunteer Engagement here at the Cal Alumni Association. Relatively new to CAA. It's been really great to meet all of you last night and today. I think that our marketing team is going to have to print me out some more business cards because I've been giving away so many of them. But I'm super excited to join the team here. I have previously worked with museums in volunteer engagement and working in education. And so this position here really is able to merge those two passions of mine in a really unique way. I'm not a Cal alumni myself. I was fortunate enough, though, my last institution's colors were also blue and gold, so I didn't have to change my wardrobe at all. I did burn all my red clothes, though, so you'll be happy to know about that. Yes. Super fortunate, like I was saying, we give out over 870 scholarships here at the Cal Alumni Association, and today we have a small cross-section of some of our alumni scholars. The student portion of this is really important to us and what we do, both giving that financial support, but then also being able to provide student support along the way for the current students here at Berkeley. So without further ado, I am super excited to introduce our various alumni scholars who are here to speak with you on our panel today. So I'd like to start out by asking you all to give us your name, your major, your expected graduation year, tell us a little bit about what you're involved in on campus, and then maybe tell us what you love most about Cal.
All right. Hi everyone. My name is Tanati Beltran. I'm a sociology major, and my expected graduation is 2021. Some of the things I'm involved on campus are, so I'm part of Underground Scholars. That's a program for formerly incarcerated and system impacted individuals. And they provide resources and support to acclimating on campus. I'm also a NAVCAL mentor, so we also help like first-gen transfer non-traditional students find resources and allies on campus and attend office hours and receive letters of recommendation from their professors. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Justin Hogenauer. I'm a second-year student here at UC Berkeley. And I'm studying Society and Environment in the College of Natural Resources. So if there's anyone from CNR, go CNR. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. And then most recently, after hearing some positive news, I'll also be pursuing a simultaneous degree in Business Administration in Haas. So that's been exciting last week. Yeah. So some of my involvements that pertain to my interests and what I'm studying, I'm really big in promoting advocacy work. So I'm actually on the executive team within the residence halls and the residence hall assembly. So for anyone who's gone through the on-campus housing situation, typically your freshman year you do live in residence halls, and we're really big on building community, but also being as inclusive and embracing just the community that we have here at Berkeley. In addition to that, I'm also involved in Air Force ROTC. So a little bit unconventional from some of the typical Berkeley students here, but I do have an interest. Thank you, yeah. I do have an interest in pursuing the career of being a pilot, so Berkeley lets me do that. And then in my free time, I work with Cal Athletics in their events management department, so I get to watch games for free and get paid for it a little bit, so that's always nice. And then the last thing that I spend my time doing throughout the weeks is I'm a peer advisor within CNR. So it's a really nice way for me to give back to the community, but also help others in the ways that like my advisors and peers have helped me. And one of the things that I really like about Berkeley, if you haven't noticed, like just all the different things they do, is the opportunities that this school provides for its students. There's a lot of resources here. Sometimes it's hard to navigate, but I really think the personal development that I've received at this university has been tremendous. And with it and CAA, I've met a lot of amazing people, made great connections, and ultimately made new friendships. So yeah, that's my take on Berkeley and my introduction.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa. I'm a third year, graduation date 2021. I'm a social welfare major with an intended education minor. I really like social welfare because I saw that it didn't involve any math, but also because it's like very interdisciplinary, so I'm able to take classes in like sociology, psychology, political science. So I really enjoy that. I love like learning new things, so I'm really grateful that this major allows me to have that freedom to take like so many different classes. I'm also involved in the Alumni Scholar Board, so within the whole scholarship program, there's a group of us, and our main like purpose is to build community among the scholars. And so I do hold the co-chair position, so within that role, I just make sure and like oversee that our events are, you know, going well, and like the rest of the board members have the support they need. I'm also involved in Teach in Prison, so it's a program that we go to San Quentin State Prison, and we tutor the incarcerated men in there and help them with their GEDs. So it's like adult basic education and like English and also math. So I wasn't able to escape the math, but it's for a good cause. I really enjoy it, and like being involved in Teach in Prison has really made me realize that working with the carceral system and incarcerated people is something I might want to do in the future. What else? I really love Cal because, like you mentioned, there's just so many things that you can do here, and like the opportunity. I just hope I'm able to do everything that I want to do while I'm here. Yeah, thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Frida. I'm graduating in May actually, so it's coming up pretty soon. I'm a media studies and American studies double major, and my focus in American studies is popular culture and consumer society. On campus, I'm also involved in ASB. I'm the media and records chair, and so I help promote our events in our Facebook group and keep track of all our meeting notes and things like that. I work as a social media assistant on campus at the Office of Communications and Public Affairs. So I help run all the official UC Berkeley social media, mainly Instagram at UC Berkeley Officials. So if you don't already follow us, be sure to do that. Something I really love about Cal is it pushes me out of my comfort zone, and of course, the beautiful campus.
So you're all alumni scholars and a part of our program. Could you tell everyone which scholarships that you're getting from CAA?
So I received the Mildred Jordan Scholarship and the Cal Pride.
I'm a recipient of the Leadership Award. I received it my freshman year and also my sophomore year, which is my current year. And I'm also a TAP scholar.
I'm currently a TAP scholar.
I am also a TAP scholar.
So what are some key issues or challenges that students at Berkeley are facing today?
We got a lot of issues. We do.
Even just to scratch the surface, maybe. Yeah.
I think one of the largest issues I have seen within my peers is housing, employment. but like these are microcosms of like, you know, the society that we live in. So especially in the Bay, but yeah, a lot of the students are facing really devastating issues with housing, safe housing, and for like our formerly incarcerated folk, our students and our system impacted students, a lot of mental health issues, or just receiving like support from faculty or, you know, our other fellow peers as students, because there's stigma around this. And so as a really marginalized population, it's just being on the outside of the outside. So like finding safe spaces where we don't feel uncomfortable or safe enough to speak our truth and be heard by our peers. So, thank you.
So when Jonathan shared these questions with us, I obviously read through them and then gave it some thought. And this question was one of the ones that I spent the most time thinking about. I talked about it with my friends just to think about like their perspectives on the university and how it's impacted them. So taking my like advocacy-based experience, these are some of the points that I wanted to bring forward because our audience is alumni. And a big thing is when I think about the challenges, I also sort of thought about the solutions. And they're very complicated, but hopefully like there's some direction with the points that I bring up. The first one I know she alluded towards was housing. Being involved in the residence halls, I definitely see firsthand that when students are transitioning out of the on-campus housing situation, it is pretty stressful. You don't know whether you're gonna live on campus, or you don't know if you wanna live off campus, can you afford on campus, how do you take care of yourselves, and what are the sort of like day-to-day challenges that go with that? I think one of the biggest things I've realized is like how to navigate the housing market. There's a lot of resources out there with just like different rental organizations like advertising themselves, but it's not necessarily so much organized by the university side. So it's really on the part of like the tenant to like find those resources for themselves, which I know is tricky, especially for a lot of students who are living on their own for the first time and having to find these different opportunities on their own while balancing school, jobs, and so forth. So yeah, so navigating that is a big thing, and just being able to find that housing. And then another issue that I realized, just like day-to-day like classes, I'm oftentimes in lecture halls that have like 300, 400 students. And while it's amazing that we're taught by these like wonderful professors who are like scholars in their own fields, it's sometimes like challenging to realize how distant you are from them and not having that personalized relationships. So this is where it gets tricky. Do we have too many students? Are there not enough resources? Do we need to hire more teachers? I think it really becomes an issue with funding because it's sort of like a money problem, I think. But there's also space. Like you can't just build a new lecture hall because where is it gonna go? But yeah, that's sort of like one of the things that I sort of realize on a daily basis. Like when I'm in my intro classes to econ, maybe it's 300 people and the teacher asks you to participate. It's like, do you want to be that one hand in a lecture hall full of 300 students? It's not the easiest thing, especially for students coming from different cultures that may not reinforce those ideas of like participation. So it can be tricky for some people, and I think it's another boundary that might be in the way of some students making the most out of their education. And then the last point that really stood out to me that I didn't think about too much, but one of my friends actually mentioned, was really the unnecessary like competitive culture that Berkeley creates. I think too many times like you have issues of, like impacted majors. For myself, when I was applying to the business school, I really didn't want to put the pressure on myself to think like, oh my gosh, it's like make or break. That's why I kind of just think of it as like another like degree that I'm pursuing, because at the end of the day, like I don't want it to sound like, oh, I got into this like prestigious like organization, like that makes me better than anyone else. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to make the most out of my education, trying to have a good college experience, and I think ultimately that should be what like Cal is enforcing, and not trying to build this competitive nature where you have to get a competitive GPA to study what you like, when really like we're all here to learn, and we just want to make the most of it. So combining these like 3 points that I brought up, I think a really big like just broad sense of it is like the limited resources that we have. There are like really great resources, but the biggest part is like enabling students to find those resources and actually use them. So that's my take on the challenges at Berkeley.
All right. So some challenges that I've seen my peers and myself face as like first generation low income students of color is just the simple feeling of like not belonging here. I know like my first year when I got here, I was just like extremely homesick, and just being around students who come from different backgrounds that I do was like a new challenge for me. So that like ties into the whole like imposter syndrome, just not feeling like you belong. And so I know there are like organizations and spaces here on campus that do cater to those populations, but I feel like there should be more, and our voices should be heard much more than they are now. And I was also, yeah, going to touch on like competitive culture. It's so big here. I don't understand why everything has to be like a competition, and students feel, not all students obviously, but a large, yeah, I've had a lot of experiences, and so have my friends, where a lot of students here feel the need to just do better, not even want to maybe share like a study guide, or share like studying tips. I had a friend who had asked a student in her class, oh, like how you did so well in the quiz, like what are your some of like studying habits, and he just did not share that with her. So I don't know why. I would say, yeah, that's like a big issue here, but I do like find support with like my family, like keeping in contact with them, since they're the ones who like inspire and motivate me, just making sure like I'm grounded in that. And also my friends, I have a great group of friends, so just talking to them, we all are going through like a similar experience, so that helps, like being able to talk. And just I practice like self-care, like making sure I like to write and like remind myself like why I'm here and that I do belong here. And a lot of the classes that I've taken just make me realize that it's not me, but it's just like the larger system, and like the disparities are what has caused like me to feel this way, or like other peers. So yeah, my feelings are like validated. But yeah, I would say that's a big issue here, just like imposter syndrome and like the competitive culture at Cal. Yeah, thanks.
I also kind of want to touch on that, but I think I also experience it not just in terms of academics, but also in terms of extracurriculars. So as you see, all of us here are like super involved on campus. We have jobs, things like that. But I think coming in as a freshman, I thought I needed that right away. So I like went out and tried to join a bunch of clubs, and I did end up joining one that I liked, but I think I went into it too fast, thinking that I had to be a part of something. But then I kind of settled in sophomore year when I got my job as social media assistant. And so I think a lot of that competitiveness comes from, again, like the school being so big. I come from a high school where my graduating class was 100 students. And so coming here to like 300, 400 student lecture classes was just crazy to me. That was more than the people that I knew in high school. And so that's something that I've really struggled with, but finding resources on campus, mainly through CAA, which is my like first point of contact when I need help, has been really helpful to me. Okay, cool.
So, and I think this actually leads really well into our next question, because, you know, we hear about, you know, we've heard a lot of consistent themes kind of across the panel, right? The challenges of housing, the large campus that can sometimes feel really distant, right? So, you know, how does CAA support you guys as students? How does the Alumni Association or alumni support you as students?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing is that they're always available for like one-on-one advising, and that's something that I've found really helpful. So when I don't know where to go on campus for help, I usually go to CAA first, and if it's like a financial aid issue, and I didn't know how to navigate that, they would send me over to financial aid, or academics. They would say, hey, you should talk to your major advisor and things like that. And because of them, now I know like where to go. Also, I think all the workshops that they hold have been really, really helpful. Most recently, I attended a resume workshop, and since I am job searching, I felt like I really needed that, and so I actually got like one-on-one support. Like someone looked over my resume, and they were able to tell me line by line like what I needed to change, and that was really helpful. And I'm actually landing some job offers, so that's been great.
So besides like the financial like assistance, CAA has also just created this safe space for me. As I mentioned before, I'm involved in the Alumni Scholar Board, so just within that, it's so I've been involved since like my first year, and I've seen like my personal growth and like my professional development through there. Also, the workshops, like Frida mentioned, that they hold the workshops. They're catered to us. Like they don't just put random workshops. Like they know what we need, and I really appreciate the staff as well. They're always there with like open arms and like very welcoming. And then just being like around students who come from like similar backgrounds as me is really helpful. After being, you know, like big Berkeley, you're around like many different students. It's nice to like just come here and have this space where, you know, like we all come from similar backgrounds and we can relate to each other, and everyone's just so helpful here and nice. Yeah, so that's how CAA has helped me.
I think one of the biggest things that I know with scholarships, there's definitely a large financial part of it, but a lot of scholarships try to be more than just that. But to touch on the financial part, I just wanted to emphasize that without like the funding and the support that I've gotten from CAA, I don't know if I ultimately would have chosen Cal. So I really want to emphasize that the money does go somewhere. It really does have an effect on the students that receive these scholarships. And as someone who has been fortunate to receive a significant amount of funding that has enabled me to pursue this path, I'm immensely grateful, and I'm sure I can speak for so many other students. But to answer the question and talk about what CAA has done for me, I feel like a similar theme was just like navigating resources. For the TAP program, there's amazing workshops where the CAA staff are investing hours into their day with planning them, organizing them, and just bringing these resources that exist on campus to students. I think that's a really big thing, is just like navigating Cal. And another thing that I really have to emphasize is the food. We're all hungry college students. We all need to eat, and they always provide food, which is immense, because oftentimes you'll have a meeting that's maybe 5 to 6:30, and that's like pretty much around dinner time. And then for a lot of us that may live off campus or not have like secure like food options available, CAA provides those, and it's really great. So just want to echo that. Really appreciate it for more than just what it provides financially, but also support-wise, educational, and physical in the case of food. So yeah.
Can we give
Thanks, CAA.
some snaps to An and Chloe for always approving our food budgets? Yes.
Yeah, so definitely like the financial. As a non-traditional transfer student, I just like came in here knowing that I would have to deal with this like on my own. That this, I was already used to being that financial stability for my family. I'm the caretaker to my 3-year-old niece, so like I have to commute to school. Like I can't live on campus. Like I have family responsibilities, and I'm very well aware of that. That is my decision. And so having the support, this financial support available was new to me in a way like I didn't know that you could get this type of like these scholarships, that you could just like receive that, you know, that hand. But through that process, I learned how to articulate my story in a way that was like not palpable, but in a way that people could understand it and relate to me. And that actually really helped me, because now I can like speak on panels to tell people like, hey, you know, like I'm here, I'm one of y'all, like we're doing this. But yeah, so like helping me stand in my leadership and, you know, be my like step into my womanhood. I feel like that has been a huge like support that you guys have offered, and I really appreciate it. So thank you guys. And thank you guys for speaking on this panel, because, you know, it's Saturday.
Yes, thank all of you for speaking on this panel. I think that, you know, you mentioned that, you know, speaking in that interview, is that the interview
Yeah.
process you're talking about? So how many people who are here today involved in their chapters are involved in the interview process for scholarships at some point? Please stand up, and let's thank our interviewers and scholarship volunteers. So if all of this sounds like something that you would be interested in, now you know who you can go talk to, along with me, to sign up to also get involved in interviewing for scholarships and being a part of that. Speaking of Cal alumni and connecting with Cal alumni, both in the interview process and beyond, and here at Alumni House, you know, what ways would you like to connect with alumni more, right? What are some ways that you'd like to be involved with the alumni?
I mean, any way I can. Like, I want to hear about you guys' stories. Like, as someone who's like new here, you know, like I want to know how you guys made it out of this belly of the beast. Like, you know, like what tips and tricks. Like I want that support. Like I'm open to learning and to networking and to just like seeing, like hearing your stories, you know, connecting with you guys and just like, what are you guys doing now? How did you guys get to this point? Did you guys know you're gonna be here? Like, I want to know it all. Like, so, yeah.
Speaking from my experience, I'm only a sophomore, but I've built some amazing relationships with alumni so far. And I think a big one of those is like one-on-one mentoring. I've been very fortunate through my sponsors for the TAP Scholarship and the Leadership Award that I've been able to build those relationships. But for anyone who's an alumni that wants to have that relationship, there's plenty of events that are hosted. I know CASA is an event, that's the Cal Alumni Student Association. They're a great avenue to like directly interact with current undergraduate students. So just want to shout them out. I was involved with them and they're a great organization. And then I think another opportunity that is maybe overlooked, but I don't want to shy away from it, is like career opportunities. One of my sponsors actually worked or has work abroad in Turkey, and that's where I spent my summer, working as a summer camp counselor at a space camp. So that was super cool for a freshman to have that kind of job opportunity. So I just want to highlight that students are definitely motivated to pursue unconventional and non-traditional pathways. They just need to be shown that path, and I really think alumni can step up to that plate and provide those opportunities that students are more than willing to pursue.
Yeah, just to echo everyone else, just knowing your experience and how you got here, how'd you make it out of here, what'd you do after here, as someone who still doesn't know what they're gonna do after they graduate, I think it'd be great to just pick your guys' brains and just learn from your experience. And if y'all have like any advice or tips, I know like I could speak for all of us, we just want to know like about your lives. And I'm sure y'all would love to share and talk about yourselves. No. Who doesn't like talking about themselves? So yeah, just like any advice that y'all have and like mentorship opportunities, that would be amazing as well. And I think it's great that you're all here right now. I didn't know that this was like out of state, different chapters. I think that's so amazing. I hope one day I can also do what y'all are doing.
I really appreciate all the networking opportunities that CAA gives us to connect with alumni. I've been fortunate enough to build some of those relationships. I do find sometimes that not enough alumni from the field of interest that I like want to go into are sometimes at these events. So while I love to hear about everyone's story and how they survived Cal, I'm really interested in talking to people in like the marketing or communications field of work. And so I'm building on doing some of that work as I'm getting ready to graduate, and I hope to do that for people once I graduate too.
Justin, could you talk a little bit more about CASA? You mentioned that.
So for anyone who's not involved with CASA right now, I guess it pertains to you, but what CASA is it's a student-run organization that, from my understanding, partners through CAA to provide these opportunities for current undergraduate students. So if everyone's familiar with Sproul, they're out there tabling on a weekly basis for the most part, and they're reaching out to students directly and then encouraging them to come to the events that they host so that alumni that are in the area and are willing to attend the events can meet directly with current students. And I think this is a great connection or a great opportunity for like any particular undergraduate or any current student here at Berkeley to meet with alumni who they otherwise might not be able to. It provides a casual yet somewhat casual yet professional setting where they can build these conversations and just like meet alumni. Whereas otherwise, I think oftentimes undergraduate students might not be able to figure out like, oh, how do I know these? How do I meet these alumni when they're so much older than me? And it kind of like tears down that barrier of I guess what some like imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't belong and hearing from the stories of other people that came before them about like what their pathway was like. So yeah, it's a great mentoring opportunity. The key buzzword is like networking, but I like to think of it as like professional relationship building.
And so before we go to Q&A, I wanted to ask if any of you had a particular story about interacting with a particular alumni that you wanted to share, something that made an impact on you or
I can touch upon it. I briefly hinted at it or mentioned it in one of my stories that I was sharing. But this past summer, I worked abroad in Turkey. I quite literally had a job abroad. It wasn't through the campus directly. It wasn't a study abroad, but through an interaction that I simply made by expressing that I wanted to be a pilot and was interested in aviation. She mentioned, well, my husband was the founder of a space camp in Turkey. So just like that, really, I remember she gave me her email address, and her daughter was there at the event, and her daughter reached out to me personally and said, give us an email, we'll set up a Skype call, and the next thing I knew, I think by October, I was hired for a job that was in the summer, and here I am, like, going through my whole second semester of my freshman year thinking, like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to Turkey this summer. Like, they're paying for my flight, I'm getting paid to be there. And it was really cool. Like, I got to meet different cultures from around the world because it was an international program. And that all stemmed from just one conversation and expressing my interest to an alumni. But I'm incredibly indebted to and how grateful I am to her being willing to trust me with this responsibility of receiving this role as a 18-year-old in another country. So definitely very grateful for that. And just want to echo that it came out of just a simple interaction. I had no expectation moving or going to this dinner that I happened to be at that I would make that relationship, but it's been incredibly impactful. The job experience itself was amazing, but I got to travel the world. I got to support myself financially over the summer, and just have like a memory that will stick for me, that will stick with me for the rest of my life. So yeah, that's just one example that I hopefully can communicate that shows the power of CAA and alumni relationships.
Anyone else? Or we can also, does anyone have any questions? We want to leave some time. Yeah.
So I'm hearing you guys tell us about how housing is an issue for you guys. And it sickens me because housing was an issue for Chinese students 100 years ago. Chinese students weren't allowed or weren't welcome into the dormitories. They weren't welcome to the fraternities or sororities. So President Barrow's Hall, sold the Chinese students a house on Pepper Street so that they could have a place to live, to be on campus, because most students commuted. This was 100 years ago, 1919. This was at a time when Chinese weren't allowed to own property even. So President Barrows was kind enough to do this. And it's still an issue today. That's 100 years ago. We haven't solved that problem yet. It's horrible. And everyone's raising $6 billion. I know. We're raising $6 billion. So I wonder if we're coming to you to find out what you guys need to have better housing. Has the big fund or whatever come to you and say, as students, what do you need for housing? Is it more dormitories? Is it more this, more that?
So I know for me, after my freshman year living in the dorms, I applied for on-campus housing again, and I just didn't get it, even if I selected like any option on the form. And so I was forced to look for an apartment off campus, and I ended up finding one, and it's been a great place to live, but it's really expensive. And I found that part of the issue with like off-campus housing is that these like private organizations or just like individual landlords are kind of taking advantage of students. Specifically where I live, I just found out actually that my rent, well, first of all, my rent has increased every year since I moved in. This will be my third year living there. And I just found out that my landlord decided to decrease the rent next year because he couldn't rent out 2 of his other apartments. And so that goes to show that it was way too expensive. But since we're students, it's easy to take advantage of us, I guess, and we don't have the resources. So maybe more resources on how to find affordable housing, things like that, how to not get taken advantage of by landlords.
Well, Berkeley knows how many students there are admitting.
Yeah.
So find a place for everybody.
They are building a lot of new dorms, which I've noticed, but those are going to be really expensive. So I think that'll be an issue.
I think, so I'm involved in the residence halls, like for the government side of things, and while a lot of it's based on like community and just supporting the community there, I do interact with like Cal Housing and like the enrollment. And I think what like you kind of touched upon, what blows my mind is how are you able to accept so many students when you can't even guarantee housing for them? Like I think that's ridiculous, and I think that's a problem that's at the root of it. I know like just speaking from my knowledge of other schools, they guarantee housing for, if not like all 4 years, at least the first 2 years or something in that regard. And I know that they are building new dorms, like or residence halls. When I first moved in, I moved into the new Blackwell Hall, which I was incredibly fortunate to have that opportunity to live there. But not like in the case of Frida's case, not everyone has that opportunity to stay within the residence halls. The only reason I'm able to afford it is through the scholarships that I've received, like outside scholarships that are willing to cover housing. But that's like a real expense that a lot of people either, if they can't pay for out of pocket, they have to take loans. So I don't think so much the issue is not having enough housing, because if you like just take a walk around Berkeley, you'll see the construction happening, but having it be affordable and like navigating how to like even pursue that like off-campus housing, like what's a deposit look like how much money do I have to save, how do I budget for it, like what are the bills that are gonna sneak up and get you, like I don't know, the water bill that you weren't expecting to budget like an extra 150 for. I just think there's like a lot of hidden costs and things that a lot of students don't have experience with, but could easily seek help with if it was provided.
So I actually work in the Cal Housing office, and I do live on campus right now as a third year, and I would say, yeah, definitely. I don't think it's the lack of housing. We have housing. There's like vacant dorms that we have. Yeah, the no one in housing is here. I think it's just affordable housing. A lot of students apply to our housing and we tell them, oh, it's not guaranteed, but then we also have to acknowledge that the prices and what they're charging students, it's ridiculous. I've been grateful and like fortunate enough to live on campus and afford it because of scholarships, and I don't have any experience living off campus, and I kind of like intimidated to try at this point. I know they take advantage of students. So yeah, I would say it's not like the lack of housing. There's a lot of construction going on. There's a lot of like new apartment buildings, but it's just, is it accessible? Is it affordable for students? Or is it just for students who are, I don't know, rich and like able to afford all of that? Yeah, that's my take on housing.
So let's go to our next question here. Yes, right back there.
How many of you would be able to get a meaningful letter of recommendation from a faculty member? And if you could or can, how did you go about facilitating that arrangement?
I could just briefly. So I actually, I'm a third year and I still haven't developed that close like relationship with the professor. And I think that a lot of it has to do, although I do get the scholarship, I also do work a lot. And so I do find myself like working every day and just not being able to go to office hours. One, because I'm at work and I can't just leave work to go to like their times. And then also, I guess like the intimidation, there's just so many students, and every time that I do try to go to office hours, there's a lot of students who want to speak to the professor. And at that point, I just have to go to work in like 5 minutes. So I personally have not developed a relationship or would even be able to say I can get a letter of recommendation at this point. But that is something that I need to work on this semester and the next year.
So this would have been a problem for me if I didn't do this thing called the NavCal Fellowship, which I'm now a mentor of. So with our communities, going into office hours is like unheard of. Like at community college, it was still a struggle, but like I have been having to rely on my professors from community college to get those letters of rec. But it's because like there's this notion of like I don't deserve to go into like their office of like this elite, you know, like world-renowned professor and ask them for like something that is actually their job. Like it's their job to write letters of rec, not to be like, you know, rude or anything, but like they get paid to support us in these ways. And I didn't realize that till like this semester, like just becoming more practicing actually going to office hours and taking our other students, like we do, our motto is like each one teach one, right? So like when we go to office hours, we go in groups because we have had negative experiences where like professors are just like really rude and they can say some really just disrespectful things to some of our students. So when there's somebody with you, they're more likely to actually hear what you have to say. So obviously like the issue with like even finding time, but when you have that support, students actually get those letters of rec. but it has to, like, you have to be programmed into being used to like stepping up to authority and asking them for something. Because in our communities, we're not taught to ask for help. Like, that's not something we do. We figure it out on our own and we're gonna get it done. So like just learning how to ask for help has been huge, and like, but being taught how to ask for help, like, it's funny because it's like you don't think like, oh, like asking for help, like it's so simple, but it's really not. Like being raised your whole life seeing like you're gonna get this done on your own and you're gonna figure it out, versus hey, like you have a support system and we're gonna help you get what you need. So yeah.
Right back there.
Yeah, it's great to hear your stories and how each of you actually came here, you know, through the challenges you may face. But Serena, now that you're here, each of you are leaders, actually. I wanted to ask you guys about like, what do you want to do, perhaps, before you graduate from Berkeley? Is there any one thing that you guys want to do before you graduate? Because collectively, I mean, everyone, we have many great leaders here. Perhaps some of us could be helpful to you with certain things that you want to accomplish before you graduate.
I'll be short because I tend to talk a lot. But I want to be a pilot, so if anyone has any experience in the military, maybe the Air Force perhaps, or anything in the commercial side, I'd love to connect with you. But for the most part, I'll be spending 10 years after I graduate in the military, so maybe to be continued for that one.
So this semester I realized like I want to go to graduate school, and I want to pursue like my PhD and become a professor myself. I want to bring, as like a queer Indigenous woman, I want to bring my experiences into the classroom, and I want to be able to connect with my students. Just from my own experiences with professors, I think that like we really lack diversity. We really lack these like seeing somebody like you as your professor. It just does something to you, and I definitely want to bring that representation to my future students.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Vanessa. So currently I'm considering going to law school, but I'm still not sure. So if anyone, I know there was like, I'm sure there's a lot of y'all have been to law school. I would be glad to get to know more
I see
about.
Chloe smiling back there.
No, I met someone. I was at a table who did go to law school. So just talking more about that and like your experience. Yeah, because I'm still not sure, but I am interested in like law and the carceral system and working with incarcerated people. So I don't know how just to put that all together. Yeah.
I'm interested in the marketing and communications field. I was actually asking Jonathan earlier if there was anyone here from San Diego, because I would love to join the San Diego chapter. But yeah, if there's anyone that could give advice on that career field, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so I saw a hand back there. Or
Oh, okay.
yes,
Perfect.
there we go.
Thank you.
Perfect. So how about right here in the blue shirt?
I'm Peter Chang, and so this is self-advertising here. I'm actually won the TAP Scholarship chair in Southern California in LA. And so the Achievement Award, which is what TAP stands for, I've been involved in the last 14 years as the chair. And I want to let you know some numbers around the selection process. So annually, there's between 6,000 to 8,000 applications went into the scholarship and also the program. Only 25 are selected every year. So I want to congratulate all of you for making less than 1%. So with that said, is if you can go back in time and if you want to give yourself, day one at Berkeley, what advice could you give them?
I would say like I said before, Cal really pushes me out of my comfort zone. I've always been a very introverted person. Even in high school, I had to do group presentations and such, and like it really wasn't my thing. I wouldn't really imagine that I could be up here on a student panel. But I would just tell myself that it's gonna be okay and that I'm gonna grow, and not to say that being introverted is bad, because I don't like when people make that assumption. But I would tell myself that I will grow comfortable with being that, and I will be able to speak out when needed, so for situations like this.
I would tell myself, well, I would say, girl, like, you do belong here. I would tell myself that, and then just also warning, like, it's not going to be easy, but what's that quote? Like, nothing in life comes easy, or something like that. Yeah. Like, yeah, that quote. But yeah, just kind of tell my past self, like, you can do it, and it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. Even if you don't know, like, what's going to happen in the end, it's going to be great, because yeah, you're the first in your family to go to college, and you're doing this. So yeah, I don't know, just I would probably hype myself up and just give myself a pep talk.
I think what I would tell my former self is simply do what you love. I think a big thing that I've had to deal with is just spreading myself too thin, thinking that, oh, I need to be doing X, Y, Z because I have like A, B, C interests. But what I realize is that I like to think of it like my life in like 3 different sections, like time, money, and effort. The effort I'm putting in has always been like the highest amount. But I realize now I'm starting to make more money as I like have jobs and different opportunities in my life. But my time is decreasing. And I think it's sort of like this adulting process that I've grown into, but I realize like how precious my time is. So reinforcing the idea of like spending my time doing things that I love is where I want to take my life and what I ultimately want to make out of my college time. So for that part, pursue my passion and really do what I love. Oh, okay.
So yeah, we have time for 2 more. So yes, right back there.
Thank you. I heard a lot about housing tonight. The students need for it. I heard about the alumni want to support it. I'm the only person here from the Berkeley Student Co-op Alumni Association today. I just wanted to put my face and name out to please connect with all of you who are interested in supporting affordable housing. The student co-ops are a separate 501c3. You may know them by the University Students Cooperative Association if you've been around a little longer. And so they've been providing affordable housing, community, food, job opportunities, theme houses for inclusion for decades now. And they're very closely tied with UC Berkeley. Most of our students are UC students, and some huge percent of them, I want to say 75%, are low income. They're working with the Educational Opportunity Office here. So we really are trying to serve those students who otherwise could not get an education. Unfortunately, as you've heard, that's a lot of students today because of the cost of housing. So I hope that you all reach out afterwards to the student co-ops, specifically the Alumni Association, and please let me know. I can give you my contact information. Alyssa Roy. Thank you. Hope to hear more.
We have time for 1 more question. Yeah, how about right back here?
Not really a question. I just wanted to thank you all for sharing your experiences, especially on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of midterms. I'm not only an alumni chapter leader, I'm also a faculty member, and it pains me to hear you talk about the inaccessibility and unapproachability of my colleagues and myself. And I just want to extend to you, please come to my office at any time if you are interested in a letter of rec or just sort of advice on how to navigate this place. I've been around for a number of years. I do my grad work here, and especially you on the end who is interested in becoming one of us in the academy. It's not an easy journey, but we certainly need folks like you to do that work. So thank you to all of you for your leadership.
As a follow-up question, where is your office? 554 Barrows Hall. Thank you.
All right. So I'd like to thank all of our student panelists. If you guys could stand up. Another round of applause. So I think we have about 10 minutes until our next session. I'm going to hand the mic over to An, who has something important, I think, to say.
Always important, right?
So thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, students, all of you, for sharing your stories. Thank you, alumni, for giving your support in various ways. This is why we do what we do. I do, Justin mentioned the Cal Alumni Student Association. I do want to add, they are the only student group that are under CAA that connects students to alumni, current Cal students on this university. And they're quite impressive. They're not here today because last weekend they spent 7 hours with me retreating because they wanted to build out their 5-year plan. This is how impressive they are. They raise about $100,000 a year at least. In April, they're bringing 800 prospective Cal students. So after they find out, they organize on their own 2 weekends on this campus, inviting 800 students to come. And this year, I sat down with them about a month ago and I said, "What are you guys doing about diversity? What are you doing?" And they came back to me a few days ago and said, we figured it out. We have at least 15 scholarships because they charge for this weekend. And we're going to provide at least 15 scholarships for students. We got sponsors so they can come for free. So I'm just going to say our students are really putting the challenge with the alumni. They're figuring out the sponsors. They're figuring out the alumni. They're figuring out the support that we need. And they said, okay, if the university can't do something because of Prop 209, and something that Robert, I wanted just to clarify a little bit. One of the pieces that we are uniquely positioned to do as a separate 501c3 independent nonprofit is that all of our alumni chapters, when it comes to recruiting prospective students, we're not beholden to some of the limitations that the university is restricted receiving public money. So I do want to acknowledge that. That's why we can target and do recruitment of underrepresented students, look at certain demographics of students that are really underrepresented on this campus right now. And we're looking to all of you to take us to the next level. So I just wanted to add that quick note. I think right now, Caitlin, I'm looking at you. It looks like we are ready for break. Oh, we have some snacks in the back. So if you need snacks, snacks in the back. Yes. So we have like about a 10-minute break.
Well, you want? Okay, we'd love to start getting everybody back into their seats for our final panel. And we can continue these great conversations during our mixer. Hopefully everybody will be staying. So yeah, if you guys can find your seats, that would be great. Grab yourself a snack, a cheese stick. If you need some more water, please let us know. If our panelists could make their way up to the front, and if everybody else could find a seat, that would be great so we can get started. We have David with us this afternoon leading our final panel. So we'll get started just once everybody finds a seat. Grab yourself a snack. We're going to be starting in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds we'll be starting.
Countdown, 29.
We will be leaving the snacks out, so don't worry, you can always get more.
Okay.
And now you're good. Yeah, you guys are live.
This is so
Okay,
nice.
we're ready to get started. Thank you
gosh.
guys. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves, and I'm going to hand it over to David Smith, who I'm sure everybody's very familiar with.
We gotta dim the lights first, right, David? Some lounging here.
Friends, of course I am David Smith. Hold your applause. I have 20 years of service at the Cal Alumni Association. For those of you who I have not yet met, I am the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement, and I manage our events portfolio. I also was a Lair of the Bear administrator. For those of you interested in family camp administration, I strongly recommend it. I did that for 15 years here, and I am still dirty from the Pinecrest dirt. All told, and in my partnership with colleagues at CAA and the campus community and with chapters, I have my hands in about 24 events annually, events that can be categorized thematically as lifelong learning, celebratory or spirit, athletic or development donor. They can feature as few as 50 individuals. We can have as many as 1,500 alumni guests. I almost said 15 million, but that would be a Joe Biden thing. In this discussion, we will be focused on your work, our collective work in the world of alumni events and in the larger picture, alumni recruitment. And specifically, we will address recruiting more effectively and how chapter leaders can capture the interest of their alumni community, best practices for communicating to new and young alumni, how to use social media to one's advantage. I certainly am an expert there. Day of event leadership. You have a plan. You are not winging it. Who writes this stuff? Yes, that's actually absolutely right. This is me. This is my voice. We will highlight successful events, what they look like, what they smell like, and what defines success, like summer welcome parties, networking events, tailgates, and so on. New events, new audiences is a theme I love talking about because CAA is big on innovation. And it's important to think anew because tried and true doesn't always work. We'll also mention with great passion and excitement, the new initiative, our National Chapter Day of Service, of which you are all aware. We'll have a Q&A at the end of all of this excitement. That said, I'd like to introduce the panelists. How about this? They can introduce themselves, and then I'll take the microphone back. Gerald.
Hi, I'm Gerald. I'm the president of the Los Angeles chapter.
Oh, okay. I was going to be a little bit more long-witted. I'm Eric Tang of the Washington, D.C., or the Cal Alumni Club chapter of Washington, D.C. As you've seen on your TV for the past few weeks, we are the center of the universe, so enjoy your primary on Tuesday. But in the meantime, I'm going to stand up, just hop for a second, because today's leap day, so.
I can't top that one. My name's Patricia Lee. I'm the secretary for the Orange County Cal Alumni Club, and I just started last year, and so I'm relatively new, and some of this is really fresh and new for me, but yeah, looking forward to this.
Hi, I'm Mike Gibson. I'm the president of the Cal Alumni Club of Monterey County. We become very expansionistic because we started as Monterey Peninsula, but now so many students are coming from Salinas Valley, we have expanded. Thank you.
Awesome. Without mincing words, an expert panel, and nothing ends in an hour. You have us for the rest of the day, for the rest of your lives. I have a pocket full of business cards. I would love to be your official CAA consultant as you look beyond working with Caitlin and Laura and Sonia, should that be necessary. Gerald, I'll start with you. The Los Angeles chapter is large and very engaged. Congratulations. You have more than 100 events a year. To this theme, yeah, I'm sorry. That's not a Joe Biden misspeak. To this theme of outreach, how do you effectively attract the interest of your alumni community and recruit alumni participants in your programs?
Yes. So to put this bluntly, we throw shit at the wall and we just hope that it sticks. But really what we do is we listen to every little suggestion. We don't say no to any event suggestion. We say, if you want to do it, let's fucking do it and let's go. Sorry, yeah, this is the R-rated version of the afternoon. Yes, everything's being recorded. Also, but part of the reason we're able to do that is our board is really robust and they have a lot of different interests. And the reason why we're able to have that sort of board is because we don't believe in bureaucracy. We're a very flat structure. That's me and maybe Sherman, who runs our money, and then it's kind of everyone else, and we kind of just work off of each other. We don't impose things like mandatory board meetings. We don't make our board members do anything. When people first get involved with the board, we make sure that they just sit and listen and hear and learn from the people who've been there longer. And then when they're ready, and it's only when they're ready, then they go and run an event or take on more responsibilities, but we don't push anything on them. We have at least 12. Where's Damon? We have 12? Yeah, something like 12. And then some other who are more periphery who show up to the meetings every now and then, but they don't really do anything, but they're there and they give suggestions. But 12 is good. 12 is the right number. And I wrote this little mushy thing here at the end, but we do this because we love Cal, right? We don't want to stress each other out. We know we're not paid. We know we're all volunteers. So why impress bullshit on your board members and volunteers, really?
That's three. Well, let's hold on that, Gerald. Thank you. Eric.
Wow, top that. I mean, that's a lot of events, and kudos to your group to organizing such successful events and hearing about your tailgate. That was impressive. Similarly, we have a board structure. We have 15 slots, just over half of which are elected, and then we appoint additional directors. And each one has some sort of portfolio that they're focused on, and that really helps because they can focus on a particular activity, engage with a particular alumni that deals with that particular subject matter. We are a dues-paid club, so some of you are non-dues. We understand that. But with that, we're able to collect information from our members, where they live, because that helps for geography. If they have time to fill in the long form, maybe we can find out more about their professions and all that, then we can even target that. But that presents its challenges. Don't get me wrong, nothing's perfect. We do have issues with tagging names in our database with their ideal interests and whatnot. So in an ideal world, we'd be able to filter those particular names and then customize email lists. We do have customized lists for some subgroups. Let's say more sports or game watch oriented emails, or a museum, let's say cultural types of events. So we do have those lists, and we are able to target those audiences. Yeah, that's what I have for now.
So again, I'm kind of newly recruited, but so it's a little bit more fresh in my mind. We had an open board meeting, and that's how I got involved with the OC Cal Alumni Club. And we also have like club cards, and so we're very open and engaging with our Cal alumni base. And so yeah, that's basically how we've kind of engaged with our community.
We face a lot of challenges because, as I said, our club started on the Monterey Peninsula, and it's been in existence for probably 30 years. If you look at the average age of people living on the Monterey Peninsula, it's probably 84. And while 10 years ago, the majority of new students coming to Cal were from the Monterey Peninsula, Carmel High School, Monterey High School, and such. Now, the main source of students is the Salinas Valley. And a lot of the young alumni are located in the Salinas Valley. So our challenge is, how do we connect with younger alumni, and how do we build up the program? And there's a challenge here. The people in the Monterey Peninsula are retired. They're available for lunch, and they don't like to drive to dinner because it's difficult for them. The young alumni are not available for lunch. They cannot take an hour and a half or 2 hours to go to lunch, so they want to do things in the evening. Now, that's not what we've decided. That's not an obstacle. We can run parallel programs, and we can have certain joint programs that appeal to both sides. But this is a real challenge. So a new Cal Latinx chapter has been established in Salinas, and so we're collaborating with them to do dual programs or joint programs. The other thing we've done, getting a little bit ahead of myself, is that we have asked a current Cal student to join our board. Maybe they call it an adjunct basis, but the idea is that she is going to help us in recruiting current students and young alumni. And it's a young lady who's been mentored by Chloe, and she's made a big impression on our board. So I'll leave it at that.
Michael, tremendous, and panel, tremendous. All of these themes obviously are relatable to you. I see a number of you leaning in to take in even more. Yeah, attracting the younger set, and then using their voice to attract more of the younger demographic, the younger community, is a perennial challenge. Certainly for a number of programs here at CAA, and in my world, it is. I believe it is winnable. I believe that we can be successful. It is just a perennial a challenge to attract that audience. To that end, Gerald and Patricia, you've offered to address this issue head on. What are some best practices for communicating to new alumni and younger alumni, and perhaps speak to the impressionable role of social media?
Well, communicating to young alumni, we do have we do email blasts, we do Instagram, Facebook, we have events that sort of engage both the older and younger communities. Like we have a trivia event, and that kind of is an event that helps to bridge. It's interesting for all ages, and we all have that. Unfortunately, we heard about the negative side of our competitive nature, but that's one of the positive sides of the Cal competitive nature. And so yeah, and we also market using tools like Canva and to create material for our Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on.
Yeah, if you guys aren't using Canva, it's a great digital photo editing, graphic design, super simple, super easy tool. It's free unless you want to pay for more fancy things on it. But to steal a word from Eric's Orbit, optics is the reason how we get those young alums here. You need to have a presence, whether that's in those emails or on social media. We post so many photos on our Instagram and our Twitter. We tag all the venues we go to because sometimes they will repost or create an event for our events. We tease all our events on all those platforms. We saturate our people with lots of images, and people see all these things. And we try, and especially in Los Angeles, like there's so many things you can do in Los Angeles. Why would you want to hang out with me? But what we try to do is instill that sense of that kids are the kids. The alumni are missing out on something. I'm not that old, guys. I mean, I'm not that young. So yeah, I can call them kids. Instill the sense that they're missing out on something. And every event we have, there are at least a handful of people who show up and says, I've been meaning to come out to an event for the longest time, and I just haven't been able to come out to it. And I'm so glad I was able to come to this one. And when they say that, that's when you pull out your phone, you sign them up for your newsletter, you make sure they follow you on Twitter, and make sure they follow your Instagram. If you have a Facebook group or a page, you make sure they like that page or group, and then you keep bombarding them with messages over and over and over again. Right, Damon?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Awesome, thank you, you two. And I can speak from the home experience here. Video is everything when you're online. So if you can share, obviously Instagram stories is the dream channel for that. But that truly resonates with the younger set. That's what they're looking for. It's what they're attracted to. I'm also the king of Facebook events and Facebook posts, and even spending money to boost the events. Yeah. Okay, let that be shared. And again, we're blowing through some themes that could take an hour for each particular one. So all is not lost. You have us for the rest of the day, and you have me for the rest of, oh, dare I say it, time. But obviously, we'd love to continue to support you beyond this modest hour-long panel. Day of event leadership for the entire panel. What are the crucial elements of your day of event leadership? Michael, would you like to start?
We take the opportunity of each event to bring the people up to speed on what's going on at Cal. So a recent event talked about the big game victory and the Red Box Bowl victory. Then we talked about how many students were applied to Cal and were admitted and actually enrolled, and how many community college students are transferring, because this is a big story. We have 2 community colleges in Monterey County, and now we're seeing those students transfer to Cal. Then talked about the strategic plan. You heard the strategic plan that Chancellor Christ came up with. What are the key elements of that, and then what is the targets for the capital campaign? And then we talked about our donations for scholarships. We donate to the leadership scholarships, but we also have 3 local scholarships for students in Monterey County, named after Cal alumni from Monterey County. We gave out, I think, 11 scholarships altogether, including leadership scholarships. That was good because immediately several people said, oh, this is really great, and we got some immediate donations. So one of the objectives is make sure that people are up to date on what's going on in Cal. We're so far out in the boondocks that they have to pump the daylight in. But there are a lot of things that people don't pick up on Cal because it isn't reported so much in local newspapers. So this is a good platform to reconnect with Cal.
And I'm frantically taking notes as everyone's talking because I'm still a noob again. But I think one of the most important things for us on day of events is the communications, just making sure that people know where to park, or people know, just logistics of the event. And so I think that's what makes for a more successful event. And yeah, that's all I have to add.
No, and Pat, you're absolutely right. It's not just the day of; it's also the days leading up to it. So providing that additional information goes a long way and helps, make the experience for the attendees a worthwhile one. Or else, they'll maybe hang their comments on a particular bad aspect of it. As part of advertising for the event, we also, our newsletters, which are sent out to 4,000 emails I've been slacking a little bit here, but so let's see, every other week. We get a 30% hit rate, by the way, which is incredible. But we try to ask for people to volunteer for things, sort of a little reminder amongst all the other things that we advertise. What's also unique about our area, and I know it's not going to be a one-to-one match for your chapters, but because there's the Berkeley and Washington program, so we have semester students who live in downtown DC and take classes, along with other UC students. That's on Rhode Island Avenue near DuPont Circle, if you guys are familiar with DC. And then in the summer, we have Cal in the Capital. You have those who are interns who live in DC for a summer and intern for whether House members or other organizations. Any Cal in the Capital alumni here? Yeah, all right. Anyone who did Berkeley and Washington during the school year? All right. So okay, there's some of you. So why I mention those is that there are a lot of students who are passionate about their, spending time in DC. And we try to tap into that. We build those relationships with them, and they're happy to volunteer and also attend our events. So we also get that free help, if you will, because they're going to come and check it out. And so we try to cultivate that relationship. So if you have those connections, if you have a cohort of interns that happen to be working in your area, or just other young alumni who are current students who are in your area for some reason, maybe there's an opportunity to tap into that.
And David, I'm gonna go back to the original question, which was day of logistics and planning. So the three biggest things for us is get there early. So you get to the venue site early, especially for the huge events that, if you do have bigger events, quote unquote bigger events. So for instance, the tailgate that we ran with the OC chapter and Long Beach chapter before the UCLA game this year, I had myself get there 3 hours before the event, and then all the other volunteers get there at least 2 hours before the event to make sure everything is set up and ready to go. The roles were assigned beforehand, so people knew what they were going to do when they got to the day. For the volunteers and the staff working the event, they knew what they were doing when they got there. And we had checklists. Checklists are super important. A, B, C, D, F, G, X, Y. Make sure you have everything written out that you need for that day before you actually get to your venue.
You guys want to hear about my experiences? Sure. I've got a lot of them. Leadership Award Luncheon 2017. I want to arrive early, right? Best practice. Cheryl just said it. I'm on 580. It's 6 a.m. I don't have to be at the Berkeley City Club until 8:30 to meet Robert Sproul. I get a flat tire, and the sun's not up yet. Okay, I've got AAA coverage, and they've got the new 510 service, the white trucks that drive randomly and arrive before AAA. Anyway, I got out of my car. I had to take everything out of my trunk that was for the event, from laptops to signage to tablecloths, the name tags in order to everything. Side of the road, sun's not up. Got the tire out. I knew one of the rescue team was going to need that. And lo and behold, the 510 guy arrived, and he put on the spare. I drove to the event. I was still an hour and a half early. And I had a big smile on my face. Hey, Robert, I didn't even have to tell Robert I had a flat tire. So I didn't, and he doesn't know to this day. Meaningful stuff. Something there, all right? Arrive early. I left half the stuff on the side of the road for the event, though. That was the problem. Thanks, Gary. I needed an assistant. On event day, what you say and how you say it, how you comport yourself is so much. You're a leader on that day, regardless of whether you're the leader under normal chapter events and circumstances and planning. I'm a big believer in bringing positive energy and warmth and the sense of fun, and that you've woken up on the right side of the bed and you're ready to go. Because, gosh, even younger colleagues here at CAA, younger board members, fellow board members can pick up on your every move, especially if it's their first event or their second event or their 10th event. You've done 10 or 20 or 30 or 40, and you're ready to go. Another important lesson, Patricia, this is for you. No event in the history of the world has ever been perfect, so you get to make mistakes. You get to forget about risk management. Parking, like the text I received this morning at 7:20 in the morning. I don't get up at 7:20 on a Saturday if I don't have to. Or weather, or as Michael and I talked about in the last couple of days, sickness. One of your board members is going to be sick on event day. No question about it. This stuff happens, okay? Or they're going to have a sick child or something. And so you better prepare for that. What is your plan B? Or what's your plan C? Okay? These things are real. These things are normal. I'm happy to take a text late at night and sometimes early in the morning if people have, on event day. I certainly I insist that I hear from my team. If something is not quite right in their life, their day, and they can't support the event after all. Risk management and crisis management, I love these themes in general. You're prepared, you've given some thought to every last thing that can go wrong. Because no event in the history of the world has ever been perfect, you're expecting something to go wrong. I had an event here, it was 2 years ago, included the great Robert Haas, philanthropist and alum, and from a remarkably generous family. He has mobility challenges. My stage came 6 hours before the event without stairs, and he's one of my panelists. Oh, I've got this covered. This will be easy. The university had booked all of their stairs, so I could not get stairs, and we built stairs for Robert Haas, bless him, out of phone books and planks of wood. There were no railings. I'm telling you, I'll die laughing, die with a smile on my face because of that moment. He loved it as much as we did. We gave him an arm as he went from step to step. Nothing ever goes perfectly, okay? Be prepared for that. And you think about what your risks and what your potential crises are. Very lastly, and I know the team here has a strong sense, it's my identity here, for goodness sakes. I have a breakout meeting 5 to 10 minutes before we go into our event. And I remind the staff of the highest of expectations. What are we doing here? What are we selling here? How are we going to be successful? Because they may have been setting up a bar for an hour and a half or a check-in station, or they may have gotten here late. They may be grumpy. Well, it's a great moment, 3 minutes to reset. And I have a rich athletic background. It's the huddle before you go out to start the game. And that's what that is. And we do a cheer with our hand in the middle after setting the tone, reminding everyone that we're a team, reminding everyone of our mission, reminding everyone that we're here for fun, and reminding everyone that in customer care you oftentimes only get one chance, one moment of engagement to make or break someone's experience. Friend to friends, don't ever forget that. Thank goodness I'm done talking here for a few minutes. I want now to highlight some successful events like summer welcome parties, networking events, tailgates, panelists. Tell us what events are particularly successful for you and why. What do they look like, and what defines their success? And if you go down a path of networking type events, like to hear about your best practices of blending the demographic, what works well and what perhaps does not. Gerald, would you like to begin?
Sure. So I'm not going to talk about specific events because, like David said, we have so many, but I'm more wax philosophically about what success means. So for our chapter, we define success by answering these questions. Did everyone have a good time? Did everyone leave having a good or positive experience? Did they leave having positive feelings about the chapter, about Cal, about being an alum? And if the answer is yes to any or all those questions, then hey, you had a great event. It doesn't matter how many people show up. It doesn't matter how much money you lost, but sometimes it does. The positive feeling that you get, that you engender in the alumni, it pays back in lots of other ways. Maybe if it's a recurring event, we host 2 mixers a month, one on the west side of LA and one downtown. And if they come to one of those mixers for the first time, they have a good time, and they bring 5 or 6 people the next time, hey, that's great. Or maybe they donate to Cal for this capital campaign. Or maybe when someone joins the board, because we're not that pushy in LA. So you don't have to measure success by attendance or whether or not you lost a lot of money, but make sure that, yes, it's about the love of Cal and making sure people have a great, great time.
Those are great remarks, Gerald. I totally agree with those metrics, and we definitely keep those in mind when we set up our events. I'll just give you some examples of some things that we've done in DC, and I guess really one key thing is really partnering with other institutions. DC is a very networking city. A lot of go-getters, a lot of A-types. So we actually do partner up with other schools. So every year our big game watch is with Stanford. We close out an entire bar, we have it all to ourselves, and we yell at each other, right? This year was excellent, very excellent. Because of the University of California Center, we're able to partner with the other UC schools. So we have joint events. We've had, in the past 9 months, we've had 2 climate change panels. So all UC alum have been invited to come check that out. We've partnered with Columbia. We have an upcoming talk. It's U.S.-China relations. So you see, those are just examples that if you're a smaller chapter, maybe you can find economies of scale and you partner up with another institution that maybe are like-minded, maybe find another public university and be able to conduct some sort of event like that. Because of the networking nature of the city, there's also, for the young alumni, there's actually a sports league that pits schools against each other. It's basically alumni sports league. So yeah, we play against Stanford and UCLA and Arizona, et cetera. They try to schedule games between the Pac-12 schools, but then of course you play out of conference. We'll play Texas A&M and Michigan and all that. So, I mean, as you can imagine, West Coast schools in the East, we have a smaller alumni base. So I mean, we're not that great, but we enjoy. Like you said, as long as people have a great time, then they can expand their involvement with our club in other ways. So that's my message to you: is find partnerships with other institutions.
Yeah, and I want to echo that as well. We do a lot of partnerships with the Stanford Junior University, and so we actually have a member whose father made an axe, and so we basically finally got it after 10 years, and so but we trade that amongst the the Stanford and Cal alumni clubs. And let's see, other topics. We've had a very successful summer welcome party. Meeting with the new students coming in, and it's a good time to get sort of a lot of different alumni from different age groups again. We also have joint events with the LA chapter, and that's actually where one of our board members met William Hung, and we're going to have him speak at one of our networking events. And so, yeah, he's actually a really great speaker, and so we've made connections through a lot of the events that we hold, and so, yeah, I guess that's about it.
We hold 2 student receptions each year, one in April before Decision Day, and then the summer welcome party. And there are a few key elements to these being successful. The first is we get a list of the students who have been admitted to Cal. So in Monterey County, it's about 75 to 80 students. We split those up among the board members and we give them a phone call. It's amazing the response to the phone call. First, I call up and you say, I'm Michael Lipson, I'm with the Cal Alumni Club of Monterey County, and we wanted to congratulate you on being admitted to Cal. And there's this hesitation, and then the realization, my gosh, somebody's congratulating me on going to Cal. I say, oh, thank you, because I don't think that they get phone calls from people. They get emails and other written communication. So this is the first time somebody has spoken to them and told them what a great achievement they have. And it's a great achievement. And then we say, we're holding a reception on such and such a date. You should have received an email about this, but let me give you the details. That's important because these students are overwhelmed with email traffic and such, and so they weren't aware of it in many cases. We have several speakers, short speeches, prominent alumni, for example, a Superior Court judge who graduated from Cal, the president of the Pebble Beach Company we've had several times because he was on the team when the play took place. And he brings a very horrible videotape of that, but it's fantastic because everybody gets thrilled by this. We also have current students come and speak and also go off to the side with the students to give them the real insight to what it is like to be a student at Cal. We do one thing which I think is quite good. We ask the students to stand up. So we have maybe 25 students who actually attend, 25, 30 students, they stand up. And then we ask the parents to stand up. And this is important because many of our students are the first of their family to go to college. And this is a big thing for them, and it's also a bit of a frightening thing. Salinas has 150,000 people. But when you talk about Greenfield with 19,000 people and other schools, for these students and for their parents, the thought of going to a place with 31,000 students can be overwhelming. And you heard Vanessa today. She's exactly the kind of student that we have. And we want them, before they get to Cal, to feel like you deserve to be here, you are able to do it, and we are here to help you, as well as the CAA. So this is, I think, something that we feel very happy that we're able to make a contribution to these students.
Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, team, before we wrap with a Q&A, I don't mind talking. I want to get into the theme of new events and new audiences really briefly and what they look like. I have my own quick testimonials to share. I'm happy to say that, one, I get paid for this. Two, they've proven to be very exciting and successful. They've broken some molds, opened some eyes, and in some of these examples, I see multi-generational attendees and ethnic diversity like never before, and that's very exciting, simply put. Cal at Hamilton, 1,300 people went, Cal alumni, families and friends went to an event last October. Cal at Raiders of the Lost Ark at the San Francisco Symphony, almost 300 individuals. Cal at the Golden State Warriors and Cal at the Sharks, both ideas liberally stolen from the Stanford Alumni Association.
But we do it better.
We do it better. Get 100 to 150 Cal alumni families and friends. Cal it's now a mainstay to have a Cal or big game theme at the Giants and the A's. I'm sure you're reading about that for the 2020 season as well. This is exciting. This is new. This is different. This is, just borders on historic, the type of attraction that this is. And I love hearing about cultural events. I love hearing about, common experiences that are beyond football and basketball, which so long have been the unifier for this student and alumni community. Brings us to Exhibit A1A. I've been calling it an event that the CAA chapters team would like each and every one of you to proudly host an Alumni Day of Service. This type of event is not new to CAA, nor is it new to a number of your chapters. In fact, CAA has partnered with each of the past 3 years with the Berkeley Marina for a local shoreline cleanup as Strawberry Creek exits mainland North America. And in 2018, Orange and LA and Long Beach and San Francisco and Monterey and the DC chapters, but to name a few, hosted their own days of service. Let me give you Laura Dolorfino for an update. She's the coordinator of the alumni chapter. She wants to tell you a little bit more about what this initiative presents.
Hi, thank you, David. Our Chapter Day of Service campaign commemorates the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which is actually on April 22nd, so that's coming up. And the Day of Service is an important signature event for CAA, and we're excited to have every chapter participate. Last week, the CAA chapters team sent out an email to all the presidents and vice presidents of every chapter about hosting this Day of Service. And within that email, we have included a toolkit to help guide your chapters with planning this Day of Service. And this toolkit is also provided in all of your folders, so you can take a look at that. And I'm definitely here available to assist with planning for any event, and my information is in your folders. And the goal of this event is to host a day of service to foster community building and awareness of local issues and needs. And we just want to make sure that, and the biggest goal is to have like every chapter host an event to be able to spread the word throughout the United States.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that elaboration. And as UC Berkeley is recognized as the single greatest contributor in history to the Peace Corps, we want to appreciate this notion of service and giving back. And it comes in many shapes and sizes. The panel here has experience in a number of different ways. This is not just about a beach cleanup. This is not just about working at a local food bank. There are many things in between, and we encourage you all to dive in. On a personal and professional front, dive into a pre-existing program, because this is a huge build if you're doing something from scratch, okay? I say that with a twinkle in my eye and with that encouragement. There are thousands of opportunities out there on which to piggyback. Q&A. I would love to do as much or as little talking as possible, but for our panel, please, we have at least 10 minutes for some Q&A. I'd be happy to moderate. Question in the back.
Hi, my name is Ohan, chapter president of Santa Barbara and Ventura counties. Kind of have a similar structure as Monterey. We're not near a major metropolitan area, so we're not growing per se, and we're not having a ton of younger alumni coming in our area. And our management structure, our board structure is kind of like Gerald, where it's relatively, we like to keep it relatively flat. And I would like to have people on our board to create an event and execute it and run with it. My problem I'm having, and it's been a while, is trying to find, identify which alumni that attend our events, how can I find alumni to, give their time by leading an event on their own, and volunteer management's really hard, Everyone is very limited on time. We have actual jobs to do.
That's a great question. I mean, I mean, we definitely struggle with that too. As successful as we've been in the past, you know, we face that every year. But one thing I would say is that you try to tap into the interests of your of those who are involved. We've had in the past few years a number of board members who are really interested in climate change. I think actually all of us are. But when you have, if you tap into that passion of those few members, because they're gonna run with it. They don't want it to see it fail. And then just from that enthusiasm, you try to ride that wave and then support that person. Don't just leave them on their own. Try to tap into that. And maybe some of you have heard from my colleagues in the past about our culture club. We had a culture club coordinator who coordinated events to visit museums or go to a theater or do some sort of cultural type of event. That person put a lot of time into that, and you just try to tap into that and roll with it. So yeah, if you're able to find those interests, I don't know if you do a survey or anything like that with your membership to see what those interests are. Maybe you can cater your events to just maybe it's that particular topic at first, and just try to build off of that and learn what are some of the other interests over time.
Maybe also have regular events, but also have new and interesting events to counterbalance that. So it's kind of a balance of having the two, just so people know regularly what to expect, and then but at the same time, like adding in new things. We just added in I think he's called the Adventures Chair, and so he helps with like, for instance, he did an event for wounded military. We did what was called the Climb for Heroes, I think, hike in Mount Baldy, and so just things like that to kind of engage your community.
Another question?
Can I maybe make a quick comment on that, if I may?
That'll be fine.
I have a question too. I think if you look at students, and as an investor, as a venture capitalist myself, oftentimes you look at the needs, where the needs are, and really for students, what are the biggest areas of needs? I mean, one is when they first come to Berkeley, didn't know anything about Berkeley, so if you're there to kind of show them Berkeley a bit, I think that's oftentimes the other thing is. The other thing is when they graduate or during the process of first year, second year, third year, fourth year, is career development. So to the extent that you have programs that cater to those things, I think that's also sort of an area. And then of course when they graduate, just like this, earlier speakers, right? When they graduate, they think about what their needs are. So I think to the extent that when we do programs, and this is what we try to do on the international side, is when they come, we always have orientation. When they graduate, we sort of a graduation event. And also Steve, myself, Chinese chapter and international chapter, we have sort of international conferences, career conferences locally as well. So I think those are kind of references that you just, and because anybody has those needs, and if you cater to those things, they would love to kind of attend those events. So I think that's sort of a point of reference. My question to you guys is, and we know Berkeley is a huge bureaucracy, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been, as a leader, I've been, like 10, 15 years dealing with the bureaucracy. And really, I guess to just best practices and stuff. I mean, I want to ask you guys if you guys have other than of course CAA here, which is a big champion of all the chapters, but even she has dealt with bureaucracy at Berkeley. So my question is, have you guys dealt with any successes with dealing with sort of the bureaucracy at Berkeley, and share some of those things that would be useful to us. Michael's got it.
Yeah. Actually, we have had recently success. Jason Smith from the undergraduate relations, he came from the funding side, and I'm sorry, we've had the speaker today, Dura or whatever it is. It's so. Yeah. Okay. So. All right. So the chancellor has said that there has to be better connections with the alumni. And so there are a number of people who've been charged with doing this. Jason originally was responsible for major gifts, but he has taken up the responsibility of connecting with alumni in the Central Coast. the place between San Francisco and Los Angeles. So first he came to talk to us, and then they are now setting up a series of at least 2 talks a year, but where Cal professors come to Monterey, come to Salinas to talk. This has been one of our major headaches is alumni love to hear Cal professors talk. But who do you contact to get this? And so Jason is doing that now. So we consider this a big breakthrough. Okay.
So I'm just going to, so it's a give and take, and we always ask for things, and we don't expect the other side to ask for things back. So we partner with athletics and CAA to a smaller extent, but athletics for the last 2 tailgates, and actually with for SC 2 years ago, we had a huge, before the SC game, Friday night mixer in downtown LA, and athletics was like, yeah, we'll help you, we'll support you, we'll email it out, we'll get you some money, but can we have our staff there for free doing what they do, whatever they do, I don't know, talk to the donors and talk to the big time money guys. And we said yes. And so there has to be give and take. So you can't just ask a department and say, hey, can I get this professor on our terms, only our terms? You can't do that. Hey, athletics, can you come and bring all your regalia with you to our event and just do it the way we want to do it? It's not going to work. Knowlton's not going to come out and talk if we tell him when to talk. So it has to be give and take between the departments here.
I would say take advantage of opportunities if they're visiting your area. I know, somebody had mentioned earlier, small cities versus larger cities, right? So like for LA, Sacramento, DC, they're coming for Sacramento and DC, they're lobbying, right? So we know people are coming. Well, we know for the fact they're coming. We don't know when they're coming. So, so we've tried to communicate that a lot more with UDAR, with various departments that our alumni are engaged with. So they have a greater awareness of us being there, because we can also help them out. It's hard for them to staff something 2,500 miles away. We can provide that support for them. So we've now built relationships with the folks at governmental relations, because obviously they come to DC a lot. We've built relations with athletics, the championship swim team. They came to DC because they had to visit the White House back in the fall, and we had a reception with the swim team. So yes, just take advantage of those times that they're coming to you when you have that opportunity.
30 seconds. Actually, a friend of mine works at the White House, by the way. So if somebody needs to, actually, let's hope about that, because she can actually, when I call her, she can arrange that in like a few days' time. Usually it takes like a few months to go to the White House. So
everyone write that down.
Yeah. I think you guys are absolutely right. I think that, I manage, bureaucracy, you have bureaucracy everywhere. I mean, Stanford is the same way. But I'm saying that, individually, if you work with professors, and I think I absolutely agree with that point, including like Professor Sujay King, at a personal level, she's a good friend of mine, but certainly at the, being the Dean of Engineering, we do a lot of things together. So I agree with that.
Wonderful, and I'll just add our relationships with athletics and UDAR and our campus partners have never been stronger. And I've been here since the East Bay Hills were just little mounds. What's really important is that we nurture those relationships and grow them, and the silos are blowing apart. And Chloe would love to share a testimonial. I know it. Chloe. Thank you. Awesome. One last question. Yes, with all, and we typically preface a statement like that with all due respect. But yes, one last question, and I'm not going anywhere, and nor are your colleagues here.
Okay, so my name is Cheryl Wright. I'm the president of the Black Alumni Association. And our structure is similar to most structures with a leadership panel. And so what I want to ask is Gerald in particular, the 100 events that you do each year sounds wonderful. We give events as well as it relates to students. So we engage directly with the student groups here at Berkeley. We engage with the Alumni Association. My vice president is actually just recently graduated 2 years ago. And that actually has helped for us to identify what is it that students and alumni, young alumni need. But the big question is for you, Gerald, where's the money? How do you get, besides, and I'm not talking about the grant through the CAA, but there's a lot of money that's associated with programming. Tell us how you get the money.
So most of our events are actually free, which helps with the money part. But we are dues paying club just like DC, but ours is voluntary, so everyone in LA can come to our events. I mean, for some of the things, we tapped into some of our donor base and our personal connections to kind of give us money for that, to help run events like the tailgate. In the fall, we actually had to tap a donor to help us pay for the band and their food. But if you find, we are very, very, very tight with our budget. We try not to spend money on anything, and if we need to, we just say, hey, if it's like we need to rent like a restaurant for a small mixer, and it costs like $100 for that event space fee, then maybe we charge $5 for that mixer, just so we get some buy-in and we don't have to lose that $100 right at the top. So small tickets, really $5-10, and you get buy-in and people don't flake on you, because a lot of times people do flake if your events are free, which we know.
Thank you, everyone, for being here on a personal and professional level. I want to thank you also, or thank the panel. Questions can continue over the course of the next 2 or 3 hours. I'll be here. There's 3. I'm including Gary as well. Is this an urgent question that cannot be replicated at any other time in history? You have the stage.
I'm here because 9 years ago this coming St. Patrick's Day, a man of 28 years lost his life. And in doing so, he had a liver that he was no longer going to use, and I got it because he had declared himself an organ. That's why I'm here today. Wow. And 9 years ago, it's still working. Chapters, encourage people to put on their driver's license to be an organ donor. It won't hurt.
There's a beautiful slogan in there somewhere. Thank you for that share. On behalf of everyone, Michael, Patricia, Eric, Gerald, 1,000 thanks. And humbly, thank you, everyone.
I have no thoughts because you're speaking for DC.
That's lovely.
I'll make it quick. Yeah. So this is for the recording, right? So I'll make it quick. So we've had this discussion forever, and there are some people on my board who say we have to get rid of them because what's the value of our people paying fees? And I'm like, no, it's like public radio. You pay the fees and you get what you get, public radio. So that's my side of it. And it's voluntary, right? So our fees are voluntary, and we, I actually don't know how much we got last year, but that's what I'm going to just say about that real quick because we have to wrap. Anyone else?
I'll just say, like, Julie asked the question. I mean, we're both from DC. Ours is $20 a year, essentially, and basically gives you a free dinner at the end of the year, which is also serves as our elections. So it's this massive Mexican spread, but then also gives you member priority. So when Chancellor Chris visited, I mean, that just blew our membership. Doubled our membership in 2 months because everyone wanted to go check out that event, right? So helps to have that event. So try to do that if you do, or if you are a dues paying group. But yeah, so just it's really member priority. So that's why Julie is asking that question, like beyond priority, like what else are you really getting? So that's why we're just sort of curious about hearing what your thoughts are. So is that?
It's a ringtone.
Okay. I thought Caitlin just cut us off like that, but
The band is playing. Panel, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Everybody. So it's raffle time, raffle drawing. Do you have your ticket available? All right. Here you go. Ready? Elisa Roy. Congratulations. We have the Under Armour bag and water bottle and notebook. Second one, Anita Rinaldi. Congratulations, Anita. And one more here. Gerald. Is he here? All right, congratulations, Gerald. And last one, right? Do we have a last one? Oh, that's it? That's it for Gerald. Thank you. We have more raffle drawings coming up soon. With no further ado, I'm going to move on to the next section. Hello, everybody. My name is Sonia Wu. I am the project manager managing marketing operations for the Alumni Chapters team. I'm a Cal alum, transfer student. Go Bears! So before I move on to the final section of today's agenda, I wanted to thank everybody for your participation today. And it's nice to meet all of you in person today, isn't it? And I want to thank you for sharing your expertise, your best practices, and your experience and your needs with us. Last year, we sent out a mass survey questionnaire to all of our chapter leaders asking for your quick recommendations and feedback, if you remember. And I just want to take this moment to share some quick stats with you. So the Alumni Volunteer Data Management Survey was sent to 519 chapter leaders last year. We collected 78 responses, including 4 incomplete surveys, which we received 15% response rate. Among all of our 75 charter chapters, we received 50 individual chapters response, which is a pretty good amount of chapter representation here. Imagine that 3/4 of you have responded, so thank you so much. And the survey consists of 5 questions, just a quick reminder of what it is about. The first question asks, when it comes to managing your chapter, what specific challenges do you face as a regular basis? We received very diverse answers, and so we separate into different categories, into different buckets. So the first one that comes in everybody's mind is about membership recruitment and retention. It's about recruiting a new chapter member, new board member, young alums, and also doing retention afterwards. Second is about event management, more about how to plan your own events. In what scale should we do it? When should we host the event? Is it a regular basis? Is it a more ad hoc project? And then finally, spending all of your effort and time into this, do we have enough attendance? So thank you again for coming today because we need enough attendance. Thirdly, it's about chapters internal management that you guys are facing every day. It's about having enough engagement among all of your board members, planning your meeting, making sure that everybody is present and fully engaged, and to continue this commitment to spearhead your chapter and to lead the train going. So that's our top 3 challenges. If your chapter are experiencing the same thing, you're not alone at all. So moving on to the second question, we're asking you what is CAA is doing well in terms of supporting your chapters and meeting your goals.